Hey gang, McStarCats has a couple of gigs coming up here on January 24th and 25th. McStarCats features today's guest, Dave Katz of Ekoostik Hookah, and Cliff Starbuck and Ed McGee, formerly of Ekoostik Hookah, currently of Ekoostik Hookah 2.0. Anyways, they'll be playing January 24th at Stanley's Pub in Cincinnati, Ohio, and January 25th at the Odin in Cleveland, Ohio. Tickets are on sale now, so go get yourself some. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Moded Studios Embroidered Patches and Apparel. Go to modedstudios.com and check out the latest and greatest. One of my favorites right now is the Baby Yoda Mandalorian meme Star Wars inspired gift idea embroidered beanie. That's right, I just read it right off the website. And then the other one I really like is Cat from Lady Yelling at Cat meme. Smudge the Cat, Taylor Armstrong, and Kyle Richards embroidered beanie hat. That's just their beanies. They got Bart Simpson with the David Bowie lightning bolt across his face. They got Snow White smoking out of her poisoned apple. They got all kinds of shit. Go check it out. Modedstudios.com. MODEDSTUDIOS.com. They do custom work, and they always are updating their website with new and clever stuff. Modedstudios.com. Go and get yourself some. Now on with the show.
Brush. Brush.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the We Speak English Good podcast. Today's guest is Mr. Dave Katz of Ekoostik Hookah. I am very excited to release this podcast. This is, for me, probably the pinnacle of my podcasting experience. It doesn't get any better than this. And if you don't know the backstory of this, I'll let you know on the other side of the conversation. So I'm going to blow through the intro here so we can get to the conversation, and then stick around afterwards. So I kind of want to explain myself a little bit in regards to people asking for Ekoostik Hookah 2.0 to be a band again. So I kind of brush over it with Ed when I talk to Ed McGee. I kind of brush over it with Dave without having a fully formed idea. And I kind of have a fully formed idea now. So if you're interested in my fully formed ideas, stick around till after the conversation, and I'll go a little deeper into that. But first, go to ReinaMystique.com, ReinaMystique.com, and go check out what we got going on over there. We got some new music coming up over the horizon here in January, so be on the lookout for that. Click on the experience tabs if you want to find where me and my lovely wife, Reina Mystique, will be playing in the region. Also, you can follow us on Instagram at We Speak English Good and on Facebook at We Speak English Good. There you're going to find all kinds of cool stuff about me personally. I have tutorials there for bass, guitar, and keyboards, and it's just a wacky good time. And of course, podcast content. Go leave a review on iTunes. That helps us. Leave 5 stars if you like. If not, that's okay. You can leave a comment on any of our social medias. Reach out to us. I'll read your comments on air if you want that. I don't know. If you don't want me to read your shit on air, you should definitely tell me not to read this on air. Be like, hey, Mike, don't read my shit on air. I'll be like, all right, no problem. I respect boundaries. You can email us at wespeakenglishgood@gmail.com. You can find us on Spotify and all those other places. That's it. Let's just get to the conversation, man. I'm excited. I traveled to Cleveland, Ohio to talk to Dave Katz of Ekoostik Hookah. I was very nervous. My palms were very sweaty, and I had to tell him that. So please enjoy this conversation with the man, the legend, Dave Katz of Ekoostik Hookah.
would I want to do it? I don't know. I mean, if I knew it was going to work,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, because, and if I could afford it, there's a lot of factors. But in an ideal situation, I don't know if I'd want to live forever.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well,
It's hard to imagine. I mean, if you're healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, if your body's healthy and your mind's healthy, I can't think of a good reason not to want to live forever.
Right.
I suppose, but there's got to be a downside that I'm not thinking of.
Right, exactly. Like, I guess if everybody's living forever, then you don't have to worry about the aspect of like seeing your loved ones go, and you're just like, all right, bye. I'm gonna go live my healthy life.
Well, yeah, but that's a little more complicated. That's like
Right.
having clones of yourself in case you die, so you can be back, and interjecting the memories. I mean, that's really complicated because there'd still be accidents and murder,
Right,
stuff like that. But
well, and then if you think it's like if they didn't have the technology by the time you died, you had to go through the process of death just to be like popped back on one day. Like, what kind of repercussions comes from that?
Exactly. I've seen a lot of movies on that kind of stuff.
Right,
Some
like-
fucked up shit.
Right. Well, I was just thinking of Vanilla Sky today, actually, because that's a good one that kind of touches on that. But
Right.
it's a freaky thing because it's not outside the realm of possibilities at this point.
I mean, cloning and stuff. I mean, they can
that's
do it.
real.
You know it's there.
Yeah.
Whether it's whether they can. I don't know. I don't think they've got to the point where they can take your brain and put it in a clone.
Yeah,
which would keep your memories and shit like that. Like that's a whole different world,
Right.
And I don't think they've ever done a brain transplant. So that's
They can send thoughts through the internet.
okay. Well, maybe
That's
that's the way they do it, is all through computers. There's an interesting movie called Surrogate with Bruce Willis, who's not my favorite. Have you seen that?
I have. It's where they can jump high, but but that's all in the VR world, right? Is it?
Well, it's where everybody lives through a surrogate body. So they basically
Right.
they're like laying in an apartment with hooked up.
Okay.
And so like they're always a perfect, like they can drink and never get drunk,
Right.
and they can get hurt, but they don't get hurt.
Right.
Did you see that movie?
I have, but it's been so long.
It's the concept's
Right,
interesting and
right.
doesn't seem that far-fetched.
No, it doesn't.
Like I'm watching it going, wow, this is the concept of this movie. It's not a great movie, but the concept
Right.
is like, yeah, this is like he wasn't about it. He wanted to be in his body.
Right.
And his wife was getting older and he was getting older,
Right,
but
yeah,
he
I
kind of
remember
like, he was a cop in the movie. Like
Right.
he's always a cop, right?
Yeah, and I remember like he could have like it's Bruce Willis.
Right.
Yippee
Cop or a
ki
soldier, one or the other. But
No, a really good book kind of on it is called Ready Player One, and they made a movie. The movie's kind of different, but it kind of touches on the same thing. But it's this, it's like if a company like Google existed that created like a VR internet, and that's sort of like that Bruce Willis movie or that idea of living this VR life,
right.
But the world around you is it's like poverty. Actually, the new state capital, I think, or the new capital of the country, I think, is in Columbus, which is
really?
interesting because all the coasts have been swallowed up by the sea.
Okay.
Which
so it's realistic.
Realistic,
to
exactly.
some extent.
And like they call these things the stacks, and it's like trailers stacked on top of each other, and but people live and die like in these trailers, and people never find their bodies because it's just stacks of trailers of poor people who are barely getting by, but they are they're okay with it because they have this VR shit that they can go and be and do anything and be anywhere. And then there's like this little quest that they have to go on, of course, because there has to be a reason for the story to exist. But just the idea of it, and I mean, it is frightening that one day we could just be these big gelatinous like blobs, or just plugged in and living these
feeding
lives.
tubes and just kind of never move.
Oh man,
It's weird.
It is weird, and you do see it. You do see it now.
Oh, yeah.
People who have to like get cut out of their trailers because all they're doing all day is watching the internet and talking shit and sending hate mail to
Right.
to people. So that's what I imagined is like the people who are like overweight or just they're just in their. Never mind. I'm not even gonna go there. Anyways, Dave, Katz, thank you so much for talking to me. I know that kind of kind of veered into something weird there, but
That's all good.
I appreciate you inviting me into your beautiful home, and we're in your basement right now, and there's a little piano over there and some musical equipment around. I like to start kind of from the beginning. Is there a lineage of music in your family? I know you're talking about your dad. He was a singer. Was there any other aspects of music in your family?
Well, I mean, there's a lot throughout my family, but as far as the lineage and from the early days, my grandfather on my father's side, he's from Russia, and he sang. He came from a really, it's just interesting, real quick. He came from a area where like they didn't have birth certificates. He didn't know what his birthday was. He didn't have a name. He didn't know the name of the town. He just came from Russia. You know what I mean?
I'm from Russia.
Yeah, he was Russian. You know, but he was an opera singer.
Wow.
And when he came over on the boat in the early 1900s, very early, he sang his way out of the bottom of the boat and sang for the rich people on the top of the boat.
Wow.
And that's how he kept from being like in the, thrown up with everybody on the bottom of the boat, basically. And so he came, and when he got to this country, he was a cantor in a temple.
I'm not sure.
Oh, it's the prayer leader who sings.
Okay.
So I mean, they have something like that in churches. I'm
yes,
sure.
they do. Yeah,
I forget what it's called, but they have people who sing and lead the song.
Okay.
So he was that.
Okay.
And he always wanted my father to do that, which my father never wanted to do. But my father actually, he cut like in high school, he cut like a doo-wop 45, single, which I took to show and tell, I think, once and broke it or lost it. It's just kind of a bummer, but that's the kind of kid I was. And I don't think anybody was too happy about that. But so I mean, the majority of the musical aspect of my family comes from my father's side. My mother's side has a very eclectic bunch of actors and actresses, some of which are very famous.
Oh, really?
And
do you know any of the names? I mean,
yeah. Well, one of her cousins is Peggy Lipton, who she was the original actress on the Mod Squad.
Okay, I know of the show. I just
like back in the '60s, I think it was. She married. I'm having a brain freeze here. She married Quincy Jones.
Wow.
So. I've never met Quincy Jones or anything like that, but Quincy Jones's children are my blood relatives. I've never met them either.
Wow.
Apparently Peggy Lipton was kind of a whack job. And, he eventually got out of that. Quincy did.
Did you know her? Did you ever know her? Was she
Peggy Lipton?
With you said there was a cousin of your mom on your mom's side, right?
Right.
And so did you know her then?
No, I never met her.
You said it was a cousin then, right?
It's cousin of my mother's.
Cousin of
my
your
mother
mother.
comes from it's a long story. She comes from a huge family. Her mother had 100 first cousins.
Oh, Jesus.
So I mean, it's a giant,
So
giant family with all kinds of people.
One of them is bound to be famous.
There's a few, but I mean, they're not like people in mainstream of what I do, or necessarily who you would know, but some pretty interesting people.
Right.
But the musical side, definitely my father's side.
Okay. Did you see that documentary on Quincy Jones? I think
I have seen a couple actually.
Oh, okay.
I've seen like the most recent one.
I think so. On
I don't
Netflix?
think I did see that one, but I should.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good because I do believe they talk about that for a little bit.
About his wife and his
about
kids.
Peggy. Because they go through everything. And do you know which kids they are? Is it the Rashida? Is it Rashida Jones?
I think that's one of them.
Wow.
I think that's one of their children.
Got
That's
a hot
two
cousin.
daughters. I believe I believe there's two daughters, but she would be. I'd have to figure it out how many cousins and how many times removed and all that stuff. But it's not a close relative.
Right.
But,
hey, baby, we're not close.
Right. Peggy and my mother were relatively close.
Right.
Relatively. Relatives.
Right. As a relative. Yes.
Right.
Right on. Okay, so that's cool, man. So you got a great foundation of art and music. And so was it encouraged in the household when you were growing up?
Well, I mean, I took piano lessons, and I was forced to take them at like 5 years old. So that's how I started. I eventually, I think, liked it to some extent.
Yeah.
As I recall, I didn't like it at first because it was like classical music, and I
Right.
just couldn't even. I didn't like what I was playing, and that's never a
Yes.
great thing as a kid.
No, that's not a great way for a kid to
No, but I did learn.
you did
Eventually,
it.
they got me a teacher that besides the lessons, he gave me every week. He would give me a song that I would ask him for a song or tell him a song I'd like to play,
Right.
and he would score it out for me, and I would learn it. So, like for instance, I could play like "Crazy Train" on the piano, or something like that. Like any song I wanted to play. But that kept me interested.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
It gave me something so I could play for my friends and be like, "Hey, check out what I can
Right.
do."
I think that's a great point to point out. Even is like for anybody who's teaching kids, because I had such a hard time teaching. I gave up teaching because my last student cried, and I just was like, I can't. I'm not. But to like if you want to keep your students interested, like you have to communicate with them, let them know that, hey, what are you interested in? Find out what they're into.
Yeah.
Because I mean, not only do you want these kids to grow up and be the best musicians they can, you want that steady income, motherfucker. So fucking keep them interested.
That's true.
And so, and it's not about the money. Well, never mind. Let's not even talk about that. Right on. So you started with classical, and then you started playing like Crazy Train. When I listen to you play, sometimes I hear some jazz chops. I mean, how did you get into jazz at all? I mean,
Well,
I hear a little thing.
Yeah, I'm not by any means a jazz musician.
Right.
Let's just put that out
could
there.
be,
I'm
though.
not.
You could.
Well, I mean, if I would have studied that,
Yeah.
maybe. But the teacher that my parents got me after the classical teacher, the one who gave
Yeah.
me Crazy Train and so stuff like that. He was a jazz player. But he was like, he taught me a lot of theory and stuff like that. And there was a lot of jazz-y things
Right.
that were going on there. I was very young, so it's certainly in there.
Right.
It's
Right.
in my head a little bit. I didn't really get into listening to jazz till much later on. I enjoy it. I don't necessarily... I mean, I understand it to a point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And there are things in there I do understand, but there's a lot that's way above my head, musically. But I can fake it.
Right.
I have my moments where it's like, oh yeah, that's kind of jazzy. That
Yeah.
works okay. But you put me
that's
on a
it.
stage with a bunch of jazz cats, and I wouldn't
Right.
know what I was doing.
Yeah. I feel you, man. I feel you. It's like you get to like at a certain point as a musician, it's like you. Because when I was younger, I wanted to be like a virtuoso, like on everything I did, and like I want to be jazz. I want to be fluent in all this stuff. But eventually, you get to a point where and you can do that. I mean, that is a possibility.
Sure.
But like, it just depends on how much motivation you get. But like, at a certain point, it's like I feel like you just hit this like I'm happy here type thing. You know what I mean? And like to push forward doesn't even make sense anymore. Like I don't know. Because I'm going through a growth period right now of playing, so this is all like kind of relative to what I'm going through right now. But it's definitely like I definitely have gotten to that point where I've just accepted that I'm never gonna be a great jazz player, and I might never ever be great at any single instrument that I do play, but I know that but I know I can do cool things with it. So I'm just staying in my lane, you know what I mean? So if someone's like offer me a gig where I know like that's just too much, I can't. And you know how like, cause some people say that you gotta get yourself in an uncomfortable situation, but I don't like being in uncomfortable situations where like I know that this is not gonna work out,
Right,
and I'm just
right.
gonna make myself look stupid. So
Right.
in any case, so you had this teacher who's not tabbing out, Jesus Christ.
Scoring.
Scoring
We'll say
out.
scoring, yeah.
Well, you could see where my level of education stops.
Well,
It's like, but
terminology. It's all,
there you go. But so when did you decide that like you wanted to sort of pursue like a band type thing? Like where were you at?
well,
How old were you?
My love at the time was not music at all. When
Oh.
I was playing, when I was a kid, I was 100% into sports.
Oh wow,
That was it. All I did was play sports. I mean, I practiced the piano because
Right.
I had to, but I played sports
Uh-huh.
all the time.
Wow.
Like anytime I could play any sport, I played sports. I played in school. all that stuff.
Junior leagues, travel leagues, and stuff like that.
Well, back then they didn't really have so many
okay.
travel leagues.
Yeah, right.
I'm kind of old for that, but
right.
but yeah, I mean, I played the whatever leagues I could get
Right.
into, and I played for the school.
Uh-huh.
And I right up into high school, I was playing, and that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And
what was your main sport that you liked?
well,
that
I
you
played
excelled?
for the high school. I played baseball and football. I was too short to play basketball.
Okay.
I love playing basketball. I don't have
Right.
I don't have that aspect of
Physical
it. And
limitations.
I was at a big school, and
Okay.
and there were no kids my size that were playing basketball on the team.
Where was this?
Shaker Heights.
Shaker
Heights High School.
Cleveland? Is that?
Yeah,
Cleveland?
it's close to here. It's,
Okay.
Shaker is one of the first. It abuts Cleveland,
Oh, okay.
so it's near East Side,
Okay.
Cleveland, basically, and big school, Division 1A school. We played all the big schools.
Nice.
We had at that time we were championship hockey team and state champions,
Nice.
stuff like that. So I played football there. I played baseball there. My doctor told me I wasn't going to grow anymore.
Oh,
This is it. This is what you got. What you see is what you get, right? So at that point, football was starting to hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
I was a running back. Yeah, I was getting, I was getting tackled by guys who were, 250 plus.
yeah.
And,
Jesus.
I just wasn't growing anymore. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I need it. At that point, I would have said that my goal was to be an athlete. I mean, it may not have been realistic. Who
Right.
knows? It may have been. I don't know. But
Right.
that was in my head. I was going to go to college. I was going to play college. I was going to go pro.
Right.
I was going to be rich and famous.
Right.
That's what I was going to do, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of out the window at that point, in my mind anyway.
Right.
So I needed another avenue.
Was that like a crushing moment for that realization, or was it something you're just like,
I can't say I remember it that clearly.
Yeah.
I'm sure I was not happy about it.
Right.
I mean, I'm only 5'6". I was not, that was not, I had aspirations to be
Right.
taller than
You
that.
were too surprised.
Well, I
you
mean, my
were-
father is 6 foot tall. He was an
okay.
athlete, like I was telling you before.
Right.
My mother's short, so I got
You
that
got
from
her.
her. And, I wasn't thrilled about it, I'm sure. But
Right.
at the same time, whereas I was thinking I was going to go to college and do all this, I did not like school.
Yeah.
I did well in school. I did not like school. Music. That was the next thing. It's like,
Yeah.
well, if I'm not going to play sports, I'm going to play music.
Yeah.
So I got into a band. I mean, that's kind of how it went.
If I can't play sports, I'll play music.
There you go.
That's simple, but there's something really beautiful about someone who knows what they want out of life at a very young age. I think it's a blessing.
Well, it turned out to be. I mean, it could have
Right.
been a disaster.
Right, but I don't know. Like, I feel like if you got the talent and if you have the tenacity, I mean, whether or not you ever become like have a huge fine or rich and famous world known, I feel like you're gonna succeed as a working musician. You know what I mean? Unless you fuck that up.
Yeah.
Which
I mean,
a lot of people do.
some people it never works for. I mean,
Absolutely.
they try and it doesn't. So you still gotta.
No, I
you know.
understand that, but I'm saying on a level of, I'm not talking about like cover Rolling Stones or even,
Right. No, I understand.
Just
You can do something. You can
could do
play and you
something.
can make some money.
I live as an artist. I live as a musician, and I don't have the highest opinion of my playing. So it's whatever.
Neither do I.
Right,
Not
so-
your playing, my playing.
I really think you suck, actually. Yeah. So it's. I don't know. Like, I just feel like if I can do it, like, of all the people, like, if you ask any one of my friends when I was growing up, they'd be surprised. They're surprised I'm even alive right now. So it's. I just feel like if you can like focus enough to just get out there, you can succeed, and whatever success is to you. Of course, success to me isn't fucking Rolling Stones. I guess that is, but
Oh.
right.
That is success.
That is success. But I'm saying for me, it's being able to like provide a home for my family, provide food for my son,
Yeah.
and we're about to buy a house with art. That's
Right.
amazing.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
to me, that's success.
No, that is if you in any realm of life. I mean, if you can make a living doing what you love to do,
Exactly.
you are a
Success.
you are a success.
Exactly.
There's no doubt about it.
And I think that there's just too much of I think a lot of people put too much on like what success is, and there's nothing wrong with being driven, obviously, like if that's what you want, aim high as fuck,
Yeah.
but I do think
that there is this pressure that's put on, especially for artists, you know what I mean? And that's a big deterrent, you know, and when you're coming up and you're learning, you're getting your footing, and you have parents who are like, do this. I mean, it's fine, you can do art, but go to college for that, so you have something to fall back on. And it's like, or it's just completely discouraged at all.
Yeah. No, I was supposed to be a lawyer.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's what that
Was that
it.
what your parents wanted?
Oh,
Or-
yeah. So I was growing up, there was probably like signs all around me saying, "You are going to be a lawyer.
You're a lawyer.
This is your
Yeah.
this is your destiny." You know, my father was a lawyer. My brother's a lawyer. I was supposed to be a lawyer.
Right.
It wasn't going to happen.
It just. Well, did you even try at all? No. You were
No.
just like, I know that's not for me.
No, I'm sure we'll get into it at some point. I did go to college. I was registered for classes at college.
Oh, okay.
For a short time.
Where?
At Cleveland State and Ohio State
Oh, okay. So
for a very, very short time.
very short, minuscule.
Right. I
points of
didn't notice. I said I was registered. I didn't really.
Oh, you didn't even.
Well, I kind of did. I mean, it was like. We'll get to that point.
Okay,
I'm
sure.
sure.
So no, it's fine. It's fine. Like, music was it for you, and then so what was your first venture into music? And did you take the aspect? Did you keys? Or?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I was about. I'm going to guess I was 13 or so when I wrote my first song.
Okay.
On the piano. I still remember it to some extent. It was called "Never Too Late for Love."
Oh.
Very sweet.
Very sweet.
Very sweet.
Yeah.
Especially at 13.
Yeah.
You're writing about never too late for love. But
The only thing you know about love is like a boner that you get every 5 minutes. That's
exactly. And there's a lot of love there.
There's a lot of love, baby. Lots of love.
But the first band was a band called Haven.
Okay.
And it was a band, a bunch of guys who went to high school where I went to high school. And they had been playing a little bit. They were mostly a year or two older than me. The drummer was my age. They lost their keyboardist. I fit in. They said, "Do you want to join?" I said, "Sure." And I don't exactly remember how this all happened, but
Right.
this is my general recollection of it. And so I started playing with them. I also taught myself how to play guitar in order to play because it was mainly a cover band, at that time.
Right.
And, there weren't keyboards in every song.
Yeah.
We were playing a wide range of covers. I remember we do like Human Nature by
Michael Jackson?
and we did like an In Excess song. And
Yeah.
I was singing, like I sang, still I'd like to do this. One day I may do this. Red Barchetta,
Okay.
Rush.
Oh, hell yeah.
We did, I think, an Eddie Money tune. I mean, there were a lot of songs.
Yeah.
We played like the local ice rink. And,
Hell yeah.
we did stuff like that. Eventually, we started doing originals that I was writing a lot of them. And then, like, these ladies heard about us and they said, "Hey, we want to be your manager." It was like, okay. Now this is, we were, what we developed into was a glam rock hair band.
Wow.
Basically. And at that time, like I said, I mean, music was going to be it, and I wanted to be a rock star.
Right.
That's I wanted to be a rock star.
You
That
shifted. It's
that's
like-
what I was
yeah,
going to be. I was
yeah.
going to be a rock star. At
Oh.
that time, that was big. The big bands were, Def Leppard and things like that.
Right, right.
So, and I was listening. I've always had a very diverse, selection of music that I listen to. I've always been into songwriters, singer-songwriters, stuff like that, like Elton John and Billy Joel and Carly Simon and Joni Mitchell and, all this kind of stuff. My parents listened to some pretty cool music,
Nice.
I'd wake up on Sunday morning and, smell whatever. Well, I'd wake up early Sunday afternoon and I'd smell whatever my mother was making, and they'd be listening to like Blood, Sweat, and Tears or
nice.
Chicago, which are like two of my favorite old horn bands. I love
Hell
them. My mother's still to this day in love with Johnny Mathis, so there was a lot of that. There was a lot. There was diversity, but a lot of different stuff. And you like what you're used to hearing when you grow up.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of it kind of ingrained in me. But I was starting to get into, my first concert was Kiss, and my first concert, I should say, without my parents was Kiss with my friend's parents.
Oh, okay.
Who, they had a loge at the Coliseum,
Oh.
and we went and saw Kiss. I was 10, I think. And then I saw Boston and Aerosmith, and I saw all these bands, and it was like, wow, this is rocking. Like, let's go. Not really keyboard music.
No, that was very guitar driven.
For the most part. There's keyboards in some of it, but I had to adapt a little bit. So I taught myself guitar. I think that's where I started this.
Yes.
And so then Haven, we got this management. I don't even really remember where it came from. These two ladies from Cleveland, and we started playing around Cleveland. I was 15.
Okay.
So we were playing clubs in Cleveland. I wasn't allowed to come out of the dressing room. Literally, you
had to stay in the dressing room, or you had to be on stage,
right?
And then you had to leave,
right? That was pretty much the way it was going, and kind of a bummer, but that's the way it was.
But you were rocking, man.
I was rocking, and these were rock and roll clubs,
right?
And we had a gig. I'll never remember the name of the place. It was in the Flats. It doesn't exist anymore, and our singer at the time was the one guy who wasn't from Shaker. He was from right down the street here in Mayfield Heights. Mm-hmm. And his girlfriend was there with a bunch of her friends. And we were the headlining band. And again, we were now like 15 to 17 years old. We were young, right? And the band that was opening for us were a bunch of, I'm going to say old men. I'm sure they weren't old, but they seemed old.
25.
Right, exactly. And somehow their girlfriends got into a fight with our girlfriends. And there were guns drawn.
Oh.
It was kind of crazy. And we got blackballed in Cleveland. we were this band of young kids. And we weren't allowed to play in Cleveland anymore because we were these big troublemakers or something.
Troublemakers getting guns drawn.
But as I recall, we kind of found out, or we knew that night, that they kind of the guys in the band were pissed because they were opening up for these young kids, and they kind of initiated this whole thing.
Yes.
And not to get us blackballed, but just to cause trouble that night or whatever.
Right.
It's a rough world, the rock and roll world.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Relentless.
So, we couldn't play around here, and I don't remember the exact way that everything came about, but our managers moved us to L.A. They were like, you know what, we're just going to go to L.A. We're going to go to Hollywood, and we're going to do this. So I was 2 weeks after I turned 17. I was 2 weeks into my senior year of high school, and I moved to Hollywood.
So did you just quit high school, or did you go and enroll?
I had it out with my parents a little bit, and they weren't real happy about the whole idea. I think my mother was less happy than my father was not happy about it, but he's a calmer person than my mother. And I kind of made a deal with, it was kind of this, well, you can't go. And I was like, well, I'm going to go. And you can't go, kind of one of those things. Yeah. And so we kind of made a deal that I would finish high school through correspondence courses.
Oh, okay.
And they wouldn't chase me down and bring me back and make me run away and chase me down and, this terrible, whatever you want to call
cycle,
it. This circular bullshit that would have happened.
That's interesting that they had the foresight to kind of see that. I mean, was that sort of part of the conversation? Is if you bring me back, I'm just going to do it again.
Oh, absolutely.
It was any argument, right?
This was pretty straightforward conversation here. I wasn't hiding anything. It's like, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
You bring me back, I'm leaving again.
Okay.
This is going to happen.
So they saw...
Yeah. So, I guess calmer heads prevailed at some point, and we decided, I'll take correspondence courses, which I did through Indiana University. I didn't do the work. I had other people do the work for me. But I did graduate, and that's the way it went down, So I was on basically living on Hollywood Boulevard in the mid-'80s.
Wow.
When it was really crazy when it was
Hollywood, yeah.
Oh, it was
Hollywood
crazy.
Boulevard, yeah.
Yep.
Sunset was sunset.
It was. Yeah. And there's a lot of crazy stories. We wouldn't have time for all of them, but I got some, crazy stories from out there.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, that LA is fucking just it's just a boilerplate of psychopaths. And it's just fucking, it's crazy. It like you can literally feel the vibration as soon as you cross the line. It's like it resonates. It just is vibrating. It's like those plate tectonics underneath in the fucking fault line. You're just
right,
sending that energy in every fucking psychopath who's running around there. But that's interesting. So what were you? Where were you playing when you were in LA? Were you playing a lot? Did they come through on their end?
Yeah, no, we played. At that time, you couldn't. It may still be like this. I don't know, but you couldn't play. It wasn't like Ohio is now. Anyways, I don't know what Ohio was like then. I was 15,
right,
or 16, 17 by then. Right. But you couldn't play all the time. You had to, if you played somewhere, you couldn't play for, I believe it was 30 days within a certain radius, a lot of radius clauses. Okay. So you played, we played like, the Troubadour, the Whiskey A Go-Go, the Whiskey A Go-Go, the whiskey. Yes. Yeah, whatever it's called. Yeah. There was a place called, it's hard to remember all of them.
Was the Viper Room then?
No.
That wasn't.
It came around a little. I
that was in the 90s,
there.
huh?
Yeah, that was a little after that, I believe. There was a place called the Country Club.
So you were actually playing cool venues, venues like I'm sure you.
I was playing iconic venues.
Yes.
But we spent most of our time promoting our next show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you did. You hung out and you flyered the whole world.
Right.
And, but we were, we played gigs with bands that became very, very famous.
Nice.
I mean,
any names?
Guns N' Roses. Wow. Poison.
So that's the type of you guys were straight up just hair, just glam.
Oh yeah,
wow.
I wasn't just telling you that.
No, I know, but like it didn't really. I mean, it just didn't really settle into my head.
No,
space.
That was my world. It was. No, I mean, Poison lived in the next building, and they were our best friends.
Oh, amazing!
So we'd hang out, we'd have dinner with them, and make pots of chili and drink gin.
That's fun.
And, I mean, that's what we did.
Right.
But
like, how did you did you have to have a job? Like, how were you paying for rent? Like, how did this?
That's a tough story.
Okay.
There was some illicit sales going on. A lot of our existence depended on groupies. A lot of food, a lot of drinks, a lot of drugs, a lot of sex, a lot of everything that makes you happy as a teenage, male in
in the most beautiful places in fucking the country,
I mean,
with the most beautiful women in the world. I get it.
It's the whole sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing is
that's what it is.
That's what it is, and that's what that life was. And when you see, I think they have something that just came out. I haven't seen it. Something about I think it was Motley Crue or something. They had just gotten out of that. They had just become big. But from what everybody tells me about that, that's what it was. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what it was. Right, we would go to these crazy parties up in the Hollywood Hills. And like, I've told this story to a lot of people who know me, where I can remember, in fact, I just watched the movie Rocket Man, the Elton John movie. And there's a part of it where he plays at the Troubadour and he goes in, and I'm sitting there, watching with my wife, and I'm like, that's it. And they walk in, it's like, wow, it just brought back all these memories. Like, there it is. It's full. Now that was in the 70s and I was in the 80s, but it was still like all the groupies and they're just all over everybody. Right. And then at the end of the show, it's like, hey, I forget in the movie, so-and-so's having a party. And that's what it was like. It was like, hey, let's go. One in particular was like, let's go to a party at Kevin Dubrows' house. He was the lead singer of Quiet Riot.
Oh, nice.
I was like, okay. So we headed up there, and Ainsley Dunbar is like serving drinks at the bar, and he's the original drummer for Jefferson Airplane. And, and it's like, but that's what it was.
Yeah.
We were nobodies.
Right.
I mean, we were virtual nobodies anyways, what I mean, in that scene, but that's how it was. It was like anybody could go to the parties and just hung out, and, we played crazy parties. Like one of the craziest parties we ever played was, let me think. Okay. Some friends of ours were in a band called Crystal Gem.
Okay.
They never did anything that I know of.
Yeah.
And, so they called us up and they were like, hey, we got hired to play this party. they're looking for another band you want to play. We're like, yeah, sure, we'll play, whatever. This is a private party, And we didn't have to get in our whole like stage get up and all that stuff. We were just going to show up and jam, right? Yeah, no, we didn't, exactly. The eyeliner and all that stuff. So, we drive out to wherever it was, somewhere in some hills somewhere, we go to this house and, I get in there and I'm looking around. It's like, wow, man, these people, they all look like really familiar. It turns out that they were all porn stars. Now, they weren't making a porn movie or anything there, but they were just hanging out having a party.
Right.
And it's like, I'm looking around. It's like, wow, man, I've seen all these people naked. You know what I mean? I'm like, I remember specifically sitting on a couch, like watching TV with this guy, Jerry Butler, and we're just sitting next to each other watching a Lakers game, and it's like, I'm thinking, wow, man, this is weird. Like I've seen you with her and with both of them, it's like just a really weird kind of thing, but no, there's no like, it wasn't no pretenses or anything like that. It was just they're hanging out like anybody else would hang out.
Right,
and it's
totally.
like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's
man.
In a really weird way.
Right. That shit is always so bizarre. Hanging out with celebrities is just like,
and especially that kind of celebrity.
Right. Oh
because
yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, there's a little more. You almost in a weird way feeling a little more intimate.
Right. Well, I've seen you come on camera. That's a very intimate thing.
It is, isn't it? It's like this is kind of odd.
I've seen him bust on her face. That's insane. That is an insane thing that's happening right now.
Right. I wonder if my mother's going to hear this.
Oh,
she wouldn't be surprised, but I wonder if she would.
Katz.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Oh, yeah, our mothers shouldn't be surprised by now, right?
No.
Right?
I told her a long time ago, you don't want to hear the answer, don't ask the question.
My mother asked me how to listen to this, and I was like, I'll never tell you. You'll never know. You just keep scrolling on Facebook and watching your little videos. You don't worry about what's going on in here, okay?
Exactly.
You could you come to my show. You support me that way, mother. So it sounds like you were having quite a good time. How did that burst?
What happened?
Ended up back here.
Well, when we went out there, we made a video. My drummer's
Is that still in existence?
Oh yeah. You can YouTube it. It's called "Turn It Up."
Turn It Up
by Haven. Okay. Our drummer's brother.
Okay.
He was in school at the California Institute of the Arts for videography.
Okay.
And he was a big fan of like Russell Mulcahy, who was very famous in the 80s. He was what's the word I'm looking for? He was he did a lot of very. He was really good. I can't think of the word. I'm like he was advanced. He was advancing like MTV videos and stuff at the time. He did all the Duran Duran videos.
Oh, okay.
And he was very famous for those, and he did a lot of other ones too.
Like the one where they're just sailing around on a boat?
Yeah, like the Rio one.
Okay.
Like I live, her name is Rio, and she dances on the sand or whatever it is, and all that stuff. And his name was Louis Schechter was his name, and he did a video of us at the California Institute of the Arts, and we were there doing this video, but we were like sleeping on a cement floor. And I mean, I don't want anybody to get me wrong. I had no money there. We were dirt poor. We lived up to 10 people in a 1-bedroom apartment. I mean, this was not like the glamour life or anything like that. We were struggling musicians in every sense of the word, but having a great time.
Right.
And at 17 years old or whatever, not really giving a shit either.
Of course.
It was okay at that point in time. The video, we were walking down the boulevard one day. We had a magazine called Kerrang! Magazine, which is like a rock and roll magazine from Europe.
Okay.
And we're just flipping through it, looking at all these people that we would like to be, basically. Yeah. And in the back, they have the charts, right? And the number 3 video was our video in Europe. Our video had hit number 3 in Europe. On something due to something called Music Box, which is like MTV here.
Oh, I remember that, and they did have Music Box here in the States.
Did they?
I'm pretty sure, but it was like Music Box it just showed videos, right? There was no VJs or anything. It was just like.
Well, they did have one was Downtown Julie Brown.
She came from Music Box.
She came from Music Box.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, well, I mean, to be fair, I never saw Music Box, but. She came from there.
Okay.
I met her there.
Okay, right.
whether or not she was actually like a VJ on the TV or the telly, as they would say. I'm not really sure. I have no idea. But it had hit number 3, so we moved to London.
Oh, of course.
We up and went to London. There you go. And so we were hanging out in London at that point, and we lived in Piccadilly Circus. So that we went from the craziest place in the U.S. to the craziest place in England.
Okay.
And we hung out there, and there you just smoke a lot of hash and chill out and drink a lot of pints and tried to play music. So we played like the Marquee there and like some famous places there. It was interesting. We kind of we got hooked up with a tour. We were slated to play a tour with Nazareth.
Oh shit! Nice.
And a band called Girls School, which was like a all female rock band from the era. And then the United States bombed Libya.
Oh.
And used planes from a base in England. And shit was crazy over there. They were burning the American flag. Everybody knew we were Americans, but we kind of couldn't like go out of our flat without being maybe in danger a little bit. It was kind of crazy time.
Whoa.
And I don't know if that had anything. I don't think that had anything to do with my decision. But I took some acid one night, and I was walking around the city, and I ended up on the roof of the building we lived on. And I had an epiphany. I was just like, this isn't really what I want to be doing musically. Mm-hmm. At that time, like I said, I wanted to be a rock star. Yeah. What I realized is that my real passion was for writing music, and I wasn't writing the kind of music that I really wanted to write.
Yeah.
I was playing music that was fun and whatever, but the stuff I was putting out, it really wasn't what I wanted to do.
Right.
So I told the band that I was going to leave, and that I would do the tour if they wanted to do it, but then I was going to leave afterwards. And they decided not to do the tour, and we came back. The band's basically disbanded. The drummer kept it together, and it became New Haven, and they did whatever they did, and I was out. Yeah. And that's how it ended.
Oh, okay. Wow. And you were still 17, or were you already like?
I was 18.
You were 18, but still,
I was an old man at that point.
Well, I mean, I think back.
I was world weary. Let's put it that way.
At 18,
right? No, I'm just kidding. I kind of felt like I was.
Well, yeah, because that is a lot of stimulation for a young developing mind. Which at 18 your mind isn't even fully developed yet.
No, I thought it was, but
yeah. Oh yeah, you think your brain is like
right,
all the way there, baby. I mean, I'm all right here.
Right.
Okay. That's insane, because I think back at like when I was 18. I mean, like, Jesus Christ, that just never would have been able to happen for me, because I was just such a mess. Like, Jesus Christ, no one could rely on me. So for someone,
nobody could have relied on me either. Let's not act like I was some like responsible person. No, that's not what was going on.
You're responsible enough to just go to LA and then just go to London and have these sort of
I was riding it.
Of course,
I was just riding along.
Of course,
it's like, hey, that's what you should do.
Right, but still,
I don't know if I was making a conscious, wise decision or anything like that.
No.
I was just like, well, we're bigger over there, so let's go over there.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have ended up anywhere, I guess. If they would have said, hey, you're doing great in, Somalia, I would have been hanging out in Somalia. Like, hey, all right.
In the craziest part of Somalia. Oh, my God. So... it just blows me away that I just think of like 18-year-olds just in general making those kind of decisions to walk away from something where, I mean, at that point you don't know where that could have went, and you're just like, I'm just not happy with it though, and you're just like, fuck it. That's huge, man. That's a huge decision. So you came back to Cleveland? Or?
Yeah, I came back to Cleveland. I moved back into my parents' house because, I mean, where else was I going to go? I didn't have any money or anything like that. All my friends basically were at Ohio State. Okay. I mean, that's what it came down to. It was like, okay, what are you going to do now? I did graduate high school, so I guess that was a good thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't get directly into Ohio State because of the timing or whatever, and that's why I was at Cleveland State for a semester or whatever.
Okay.
Went down to Ohio State, So I ended up in Columbus. Like I said, I was enrolled in school. I didn't really accomplish much.
Yeah.
And I started getting into other bands. I got a bunch of jobs, and I was working.
Like just working as a musician.
No, job.
Oh,
jobs.
job. Okay.
No,
okay.
because I once I was out of school, it was like, well, now you got to work. I mean,
Right.
I was lucky enough that as long as I was in school, my parents were going to pay for it.
Right.
Again, I made a decision. I was like, this is not for me.
Right.
And they weren't just going to pay for me to like hang out in Columbus.
Right.
Which, so jobs. Yeah. So I and playing. I started a band called Blue Noise with a friend of mine who I was living with at the time, who I knew from high school, and some other guys. And, I never went anywhere, but it was fun.
Yeah.
We did some of my originals, at least one song from Hookah, Arctic song.
Oh, okay.
Came from that. I actually co-wrote it with him.
Okay, right.
And, and we were playing, and I worked like 3 jobs. I mean, I was working, living by myself.
Right.
I mean, I was living with him beforehand, but at that time I moved
You're
to
on
my
your
own
own.
place.
Yeah.
I lived with my dog, Amber, and who I wrote a song about. and that was it. I worked. I don't even know when I slept now that I'm thinking about it, because I was literally working 3 jobs and playing in 2 bands at that time. And then eventually I went down to the South Heidelberg one night, and that's when I met John Mullins.
Uh-huh. And so you got.
Oh, that's not true. I left out something.
Oh, okay.
I forgot what I was doing. I was Blue Noise, and then I joined Local Color.
Local Color.
I forgot.
'Cause
How could I forget Local Color?
Because Local Color was sort of the band that started stewing some of the members of Hookah, right? Or is I wrong?
Really, only me.
Just you.
Yeah, well,
Because Ed was-
but he played in Local Color after. I didn't know Ed. Then.
Okay.
So that was after I was out
I
of
see. That's
Local
where I was
Color, and
confused,
Hookah
'cause-
had started, and then
Yeah.
he.
Okay.
So I didn't know Ed when he joined Local Color or any
Right.
of that time that he was in Local Color. I may have known him.
Okay.
I mean, because I
Right.
do remember he was hanging out, and I knew him.
Right.
I didn't know him because he was in Local Color, and I never played with him in Local Color. We'll say that anyways.
I'm just gonna.
Yeah, go ahead.
He admitted that he has resting bitch face. Did he have RBF then? I'm just curious.
RBF,
That's what I'm calling it.
resting
Resting bitch face.
resting bitch face.
Resting bitch face. Which he said on the podcast. I'm just curious. Was he just like? Did he always have it? Because like I asked him, I was like, sometimes I look at you on stage, you look like you're angry. He's like, no, I just have resting bitch face. I'm not angry. So I'm just curious if that's something that carried over from youth, or if that's something that developed.
It's probably something that should be put in medical journals.
RBF.
The
He has
RBF.
a wicked case of RBF here.
Honestly, I don't.
I'm
I'll tell you my earliest memory of Ed, and I don't know if he said this on the podcast because I did listen to part of it, but I didn't listen to the whole thing.
All good.
No disrespect to him or you, but I wanted to hear the part that I knew about the hookah part. I was just curious and stuff like that. But anyways, maybe I will listen to the whole thing sometime. But anyways, my first memory of meeting Ed, and it may not have been the first time I met him, but was when we were out at, and he may have even told, I don't know, did he bring this up?
I'm not sure.
We were out at what we called the farm when I lived out in Fredericktown, and I think we were playing around like a campfire or something like that, and he was like, oh, hey, can you play that song of yours called Loser?
Oh.
And it was Loner.
Yeah.
And so that we used to have a laugh about that, and occasionally it still comes up, and it's like, well, we've said this 100 times, but it's still kind of funny.
Well, I mean, that's what's great about like old friends. I mean, you guys are friends, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say at this point, yes. We are friends.
Good. Well, I mean, he spoke fondly of you. I mean, but anyways,
he was faking it. No,
well,
I'm just kidding. No, we are friends.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Shit, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh well, fuck it. That was Anyways, so Local Color, that's when you started doing that. That's where the confusion came in, because Ed was talking about Local Color,
right?
And like that was sort of like a little
right.
band, like a precursor. But so you started going to those open jams.
Yeah, Local Color was playing at the Southburg.
Okay,
that's where we played, and it was popular.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we weren't 100% a dead cover band at that point. I think it became pretty much all Grateful Dead. When I was playing it, it was the Grateful Dead, I'd say 50% roughly, and then we also did, some Santana and some, I don't even remember, but other things.
Right.
Eventually, I asked them, I don't know if I asked them, but somehow we worked in some of my originals. And we started playing a few, not many. I think Lazy River was one, and
cool.
there's probably some other ones, but that started happening. So that was my introduction to the South Heidelberg.
So when did you take the shift of like, I mean, because you were writing metal and you weren't happy with that, but now you're writing, you were playing in this band. I'm only guessing that Local Color was a little jammy, maybe a little.
Oh yeah,
had the
it
whole
was very
thing.
jammy. Yeah.
Okay, so what changed? What shifted your attention that way?
I honestly can't tell you. I really don't remember. There are, I'm not embarrassed to say, a lot of like blank spots in my memory.
Hey.
That's just the way it goes.
Youth.
But something happened. But when I joined Local Color formed out of Mark Allen and Vern Peltima's like duo thing, and then we all formed Local Color. I mean, they formed it, but I was an original member of Local Color.
Right.
I had never heard of the Grateful Dead.
Oh, okay.
At that point in time. I maybe I'd heard of them.
Right.
I had never heard them.
Heard
I'd never
them,
listened to them. I was playing full sets of Grateful Dead music I'd never listened to.
Wow.
Which was kind of cool for me because I didn't ever try to play it like the Dead played it.
Right.
And I thought that's what kind of made us interesting at the time because there were a lot of Grateful Dead cover bands in Columbus at that time.
That's interesting.
There was... I think one was called. I'm trying to think of what they were called. There's a bunch of them.
Right.
Anyways, one of them spawned our first drummer.
Okay, Eric.
Steve.
Steve. Sorry,
Steve Fry.
That's right.
He came from. It's blowing my mind right now. I'll come up with it eventually.
All right.
But anyways, so I was doing that kind of thing, and it was fun. It was fun to just jam. When I was playing in Haven, we played the same show every night. You know what I mean? We practiced the show.
Yes.
And we played that show. And we played it in order, and we said the same things in between songs. It was that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what I knew. This was cool. This was like, hey, I can do whatever I want. I can play whatever I want. Nobody's going to say, well, you're not supposed to play that there.
Right.
I'll play anything I fucking want.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I still love that.
Yeah.
So... I took a liking to it or whatever. It wasn't just the Grateful Dead, but certainly that had a big part of it because that was the basis of that band.
Right.
Not 100%, but it was the basis of it. So that it just kind of like was a natural thing. The song, I did bring some songs there that were written before I was in the band. I don't know where that came from. But like I said, I always listened to singer-songwriters.
Right.
So in my head, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a songwriter more than anything else. To this day, I take more pride in my songs than anything else. Well, more pride. I get more personal satisfaction from the songs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love the songs. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
The playing's fun. The Hookahvilles are fun. Everything's fun and stuff. I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But it's all about songwriting. It's about creating this thing from nothing. Yeah. And then having people appreciate it.
Yeah,
or it bringing them some joy or making them think or whatever it happens to do, and that's number one for me.
Gotcha.
Even though I'm not nearly as prolific as I used to be. Maybe that'll change again, but we'll see.
You found that you slowed down as you got older?
Yeah.
What did you ever have like a writing schedule? Was there ever like okay? So was it just like I'm just walking down the street and I'm like, oh, okay, here's this, and I'm just
it can happen
around?
Anywhere.
Okay.
Anywhere. There's a million ways it happens.
Right.
Well, not a million, but 100 ways it happens.
At least 100. At least 100. Okay. So then you just had a lot of inspiration. When did it sort of start slowing down for you?
The writing?
Yeah.
Oh, I have no idea.
Right.
I mean, maybe decade ago.
No.
It's hard for me. I'd have to go back and look.
I get it because life is long, even though it's short, but it's long, and there's lots of things going on.
It was never. I mean, when I as far as like at the height of my, I don't even, what would be the word, prolificness, at the height of whatever you would call it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it is. I might have not all hookah songs, but songs altogether. I might have a little over 100 songs, let's say. I've been playing music for 30 some years,
Right.
you know, so it's not like I ever like sat down and wrote 20 songs in a year.
Right.
It's not like that. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like, I couldn't even tell you. I mean, I wouldn't think that I ever wrote more than 6 songs in a year. I'm just
Right.
guessing, you know what I mean?
Right,
So it's
yeah.
not like I was ever,
Yeah.
like I sit down and I write all day
Right.
or anything like that.
Right.
I never did that.
Yeah, it's those guys who like make schedules. It's interesting because I think it's an interesting way to work if you're a songwriter. Like the guy from W.S.E.G, he literally like Mondays are I write lyrics. Tuesday I finish songs I started. Wednesday is nude song day, and then Thursday is it. And he has this scheduled out. And I mean, you know, Weezer has, you know, Weezer's Weezer, whatever, however you feel about them,
Right.
Weezer is still Weezer.
Right.
It's just always fascinating to me how people approach it. Like some people are
Oh,
very
yeah.
just, you know, almost like math. You know, this is an equation. And
You know what?
then-
I'm not regimented about anything.
I like
Nothing at all. I mean, I don't do well with that type of thing.
I feel you, man. I feel it's interesting. It's interesting for me because that's how I was until about, well, I think after my son and I stopped drinking. I really had to become regimented and I had to
Yeah.
get in there. Like I just have to do it now or else things just go haywire.
Well, I hear you. I mean, as far as my kids go and stuff, that's a
Yes.
different world.
Of course,
But as
of
far
course.
as my music goes,
Right, music
regimented
and-
is like, to me, those don't go together.
No, yeah. and
Like
you-
that's what Haven was, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yes.
that was, you do this. This is the way you do
Right.
it. That's what I got away from.
Yes.
And I'm glad.
Right, and you sort of made a world for yourself where you can play when you want to play. You don't have to
Yeah.
just. You're not. You know, if Dave Katz just wanted to stay home tonight, he's like, I'm gonna just stay home tonight.
Well, there are some considerations, you
Of
know,
course.
especially
Of course.
back when like hookah started and stuff. There were a lot more considerations,
Of course.
but it's not that easy. But yeah, like anybody, I would want anybody in the band. I mean, that's the way it's set up now. Is like, I mean, if you need some time off,
Yeah,
you got time off. I mean, that's, you know, you only live once.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So
Well, maybe, but we'll,
Yeah.
you know, we're
we'll get into that.
right.
Well, let's just get into hookah then, like, because
Yeah.
you started meeting Mullins, and
Mm-hmm.
you guys started clicking, obviously, and
Yeah.
you guys. So when did you guys decide, like, let's do this, and then?
Well, like I said before, briefly, you know, I started going down to he was running an open mic.
Mhm.
I don't know how I heard of it or whatever. I was down at Southburg. I probably saw that he did it, or maybe but I walked in one night and he was playing, and you know, I liked what he was playing. He sounded good. He had a great voice.
Yeah.
You know, it brought to mind a lot of different types of voices that I had heard before, and it's like, wow, this is pretty cool. And you know, it was an open mic. I wasn't really experienced at open mics. That's never really been my thing.
Yeah.
Playing solo, I mean, I've done it even to this day. I mean, I do it once in a while. It's just, you know, I could sit down and play a couple songs, but I get bored with myself, to be honest. I mean, I really do. It's like, you know, I mean, other people say, oh, I could listen to you for hours. It's
Right.
like, you know, I don't know about that. But if that's the way you feel, great. You know, thank
Yeah.
you very much. I'm flattered.
Right.
You know, I don't want, but I don't know. I should like it more, but sometimes it's better than other times. I don't know,
Hey.
like anything else. But
I can relate to you, man.
Yeah.
I really can.
it's like, really? You want to hear me play another song?
Yeah, it's like, did you just hear what I just did?
Just myself, you know. But you know, I started playing my little sets or whatever it was, a couple songs, and I was going every week. I started to know his songs, and he started to know my songs, and we started playing together. And our voices were really, at that time, especially, like magical together. I mean, it really was. They blended so well, and we didn't have to work at it.
Yeah.
It just happened, and I'm all for that kind of thing. You don't have to work for it.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, man,
just happened.
this is great. You know, I mean, this is perfect. So,
Yeah.
so we started playing each other's songs, and somehow, I mean, we still did solo sets, you know, but we learned more and more of each other's songs. And then Steve Fry, again, I don't remember why or how, but he all of a sudden, I think one day showed up with a set of congas.
Nice.
set them up on stage and started backing us up on congas. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this is cool. We got
Yeah.
groove now, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And so we're playing. So every week there was the three of us.
Nice.
And then next thing you know, like Steve Sweeney
Yeah.
and Cliff Starbucks started like showing up. And I don't remember, but I don't remember specifically, but I kind of remember them saying, hey, you know, it would be cool if we jam with you.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they can't just walk in, they need an amp and whatever. Yeah, let's go, you know,
Yeah,
same
yeah.
thing, you know. And next thing you knew, there was like this whole band. They were in a band called Supplication at the time, which was one of the Dead cover bands in town.
Okay.
Oh, and Steve, now I knew I'd get it. Steve was in Strangely Enough, another
Okay.
Dead cover band. So these
Gotcha.
are all people coming from Dead cover bands, basically.
Okay. That's fun.
Except for John. I don't know if he ever was in one, but he was his own thing. you know? And next thing you know, we got this 5-piece band, and every week we're just playing down there, and we're like jamming, you know,
Yeah.
and more people are coming. It was every Monday. There's
Yeah.
people coming and more people coming, and not a big place, but it's packed all of a sudden. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, well, I think we're a band. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
how it happens.
Of
Like,
course.
I think we're going to be a band, you know?
Yeah.
We were at a party at a house, and the three of us, John, myself, and Steve Fry, were playing at this party. I'm sure they weren't paying us or anything like that, but we were playing. And a guy named Harlan Penn was there, and from what he tells me, because I didn't know him at the time, he was, you know, doing some mushrooms or whatever, and he's like, watch, like, wow, this is pretty cool. And he had a couple $1,000s or something. And he was like, you know, I want to record you.
Oh.
Okay, cool. So we went into a basement studio, an 8-track
Nice.
basement studio, and laid down some tracks, and it sounded good. And that was under Full Sail is what it became.
Wait, was that a digital recording? Or was that like, do you remember? I'm sorry, I get weird into this kind of thing.
I'm not much of a
Cool. Keep moving.
yeah,
I'm sorry I even interrupted.
I don't know what the fuck it was. They recorded.
we
us.
recorded it,
We
okay?
recorded it. 8 tracks, and then you know, and at that point, I think John and myself, and maybe Steve also, but definitely John and myself, decided we had to, you know, like put it to Cliff and Steve, like, hey, like, you gonna be in this band, or you gonna be in that band?
Oh,
It was that kind of thing. It's like, well, if we're going to be a band and we have it wasn't a disc at the time, but it was a tape, or whatever it was, you know. And it was like, we're going to be a band. Are you going to be in a band? And they decided to join our band. And it was like, okay, well, we need a name for the band. What are we going to call ourselves? You know, and
the fun part,
right? And that might have actually happened before the recording. But John and I came up with Ekoostik Hookah.
Okay.
That was a long session of, you know, probably smoking a lot of pot and drinking whatever the hell we were drinking, and Ekoostik Hookah sounded good, and it worked, and I had a brass hookah up on my mantle that I brought back from Egypt, and it was like, hookah sounds cool. And I think at first we were talking about like Appalachian hookah, and it was like, well, but that would sound wrong, and you know, we had a bunch of things that didn't sound quite right. Brass hookah, because it was a brass hookah, we didn't have horns.
Right.
Ekoostik Hookah, it worked.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where we got the name. You know, we started playing, and that was kind of it.
I mean, in hookah, like, it does have like because the hookah chant, you know, I don't know if that's what you guys call it, but it's.
Well, I know what you're talking about.
But you know exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, you can hear it all over the place.
Right, exactly.
Right.
You're just, okay, you know where you're at.
Right.
But I mean, that has such a good, it just has such a good, it has that ka at the end, you know, it just has a great, it's a great chanting.
There was a lot
word.
of things that came out of it that worked really well. Certainly not things that we thought of at the time.
Right.
I mean, we weren't sitting here saying, hey, if people go around going, hookah, that would be really cool. You know, I mean, that wasn't in our mindset at the time.
It just turned out that that's a good word for people to yell out.
Yeah, it worked out perfectly. And the acoustic, you know, we decided to spell it phonetically because the word acoustic has nothing to do with electronics or electric. It's sound as it is heard. We went for the real meaning, the real phonetic spelling of it. The schwa worked out great. It became like our symbol. I mean, again, that wasn't something we were thinking of.
Right.
But it worked out really well.
Right,
you know?
right.
In fact, we actually had, I remember going into one record store once, and we had our own, like, you know, they have the A's, the B's, the C's, and there was a schwa.
Oh, it was just.
I mean, it was like
just
weird.
for one.
And we were the only one there, you know. And they put it next to the E's too,
Yeah.
which was really weird because I don't know where you would put it.
Right.
It's not in alphabetical order. In any
Right.
way. But it was only one time. It was really weird. It's like, wow,
But that's nice.
must have been a hookah fan
Yeah,
that owned it, you
he
know,
gets
or
his
whatever.
own. They get their own.
Right.
That's actually a very nice experience.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
I wish
to
it was
go-
always like that. We would just really stand out, but it doesn't work that way. Usually it's just an E. We're under the E's.
Yeah, so
you're
look for
looking.
your E's when you're going through those compact discs.
Exactly.
Look for those
exactly.
E's. Do you guys ever want to go back and re-release the compact disc? Do you guys sell those still, or are those just out
yeah.
of print?
No, well, you know what? I'm not sure if they're all in print. I'm not sure if Under Full Sail is. I think all the rest of them are.
Right on.
I believe.
So, you guys started doing the jams, and you guys recorded the album, and you gave the ultimatum to Sweeney and Cliff, and so. I mean, when did it start? Like, I mean, obviously, you guys knew you had something when you guys were just sort of effortlessly drawing people in.
Right.
I mean, like, when did you guys? I mean, like, did it take long? Was it a long grind? I mean, because it just doesn't feel like it was a long grind before you guys
No.
had like a decent following.
No, it had
and I
very
came into
quickly.
you guys well past Mullins. I came in
Right.
like 2000, year 2000.
Okay.
So that's when I came into you. Didn't know much about it. But so, I mean, you guys had a whole career, you know, up to that point.
Right.
So it wasn't long until you guys had real traction and people were just coming.
No, it happened very quickly.
Was
at
that
first it was just.
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
I was going to say at first it was just playing the hookah, playing the Southburg every week.
Uh-huh.
You know, I don't know what the place held. Maybe 150 people, 200. We were doing 600 every week.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
people out the door in the back, they couldn't even hear us. They just wanted to be there for the experience.
Wow.
I mean, there were a lot of people there who maybe they heard a song on the way to the bathroom. You know, I mean, you couldn't fit them all in front of us. You know, and we spiraled out. I mean, that was what we did. We had Columbus, which we were fortunate to be in the middle of Ohio, a state that has a huge number of college towns and decent sized cities that aren't college towns.
Yeah.
And we just kind of, you know, spiraled out. I mean, I don't remember where, but I did come across a couple years ago an old schedule. It was like we were playing, you know, 6 nights a week, all in Ohio. And as I recall, probably basically selling out every venue. Now, they weren't huge venues.
Right.
But everywhere we went, it was packed
Right.
all the time, and we could play as much as we wanted and do that. It was just a spiral. We never reached too far. You know what I mean? And then we started playing the surrounding states, and we didn't just like say, hey, we're big in Columbus, so let's play California.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like that wasn't what we did. I mean, bands can do that if they get signed or whatever.
Right.
Some bands do that, and I would say mistakenly, because nobody knows you in California.
Right.
It's like starting over.
Exactly.
But when you play this town, the people in the next town have heard of you. You play this state, the people in the next state have heard of you.
Yes.
You just go. It's like, well, who's heard of you?
Yeah.
Like, why would you even expect a big crowd? Yeah, I mean, unless you have, you know, it's different if you're signed and you have a bunch of money and
course.
promotion behind you.
Right.
That wasn't our case, you know.
Right.
So we just spiraled out. I mean, it was a very natural thing. We had no plan. There was never any plan.
Yeah.
I mean, we had managers and a few of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, they came and went and
course.
and stuff like that.
Lots of
But,
big promises and no deliveries.
I don't know if they ever gave promises. It was just kind of like we need somebody to like just handle it.
Right,
Like, we need
yeah,
somebody
I
to
get
book
you.
us and
Yeah.
whatever. So
I had very different. I guess I've had very different experiences with managers. I guess. So.
yeah. I mean, these were all friends of ours. They
Yeah,
were always
exactly.
Friends
Yeah,
of ours. It wasn't
yeah,
like
it was like,
some-
oh yeah, I'll call the fucking place
Right,
and make
right.
sure they got what you did. Yeah.
Right. And we did actually. We brought in a friend, Neil Mandel, and he became our booking agent.
Oh, okay.
Independent. I mean, he wasn't an agency or anything. He did a great job for us. I mean, he started, once we started really moving out of the area, or out of the region, he was able to, get us into places when we wanted to get to wherever, Colorado or California or Montana. And when we started really getting out, and
Right.
he was able to fill all those gaps in between too at, little towns. And by that, I don't mean to lessen the importance of them,
No,
but
no.
just you got to find places to play.
Exactly.
No.
I love little towns like fucking, what is it, like Modesto, California, which is Central Valley,
Modesto.
which
Yeah.
But they're fucking cool ass people,
Sure.
and they're there to see music, and because all they can do is smell shit and cesspools of shit in the sweltering desert. So
Right.
I mean,
you don't want to
there's-
let people know there's bad places in California. Shh. You don't want to do that.
Oh my god, some of the holes. Fresno. I'm sorry, Fresno. I'm sorry. No, what's the one that went bankrupt? That one was fucking. Jeez, never mind. Let's not talk about my experiences here. Anyway, so you guys saw a lot of success. Now, how long did it take before you guys, as a band, and you had this following? When did you guys decide to start doing the Hookahvilles? And
Hookahville.
I mean, I know some of the
Yeah,
story,
yeah.
but let's hear it from Dave
all right.
Katz.
The band started in '91.
Okay.
Hookahville started in '94.
Okay, so it was
So it was a few years.
so, and by that time, you guys were spiraling out. And,
Yeah, we
and
were
you
playing
had
around.
a good.
I mean, I can't remember everything
Of course.
and when it happened or anything,
Yeah.
but we were definitely traveling some.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not a huge amount. I think a lot of that happened after Hookahville started.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably still relatively regional.
Mm.
I'm going to guess. I'd have to look on like Dubba.com. Check out Dubba.com.
There you
They
go.
got all our stats and all that stuff.
Is that just a fan ran site? or-
Well, Dubba was a very important part of the beginning of us. His efforts really were very instrumental in getting the word out on us, because
Oh.
what he did is he taped every show of ours, and by the end of the show, the next show he was selling tapes of the previous show,
Oh, wow.
live tapes, and they were basically sold at cost, whatever. I mean, we're talking tapes here.
Right,
They were
right.
cheap.
Yeah.
And people were trading them
Yeah.
all over, and they eventually got all over the country.
Right.
So when we went somewhere, we had our reputation preceded us everywhere we went,
That is
and
so
that was
cool.
mostly due to him.
Wow. And, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
See, I mean, there's just so much. It's interesting. It's interesting how a band can just have this lore about them. You know what I mean? And how
Yeah.
much of it's true and how much of it's.
Dubba was a big part of it. And
That's
I don't know if he'd like this, but his name's Greg Fron.
And he's
A lot of people know Greg. Good guy.
He just took this initiative on his own, or I mean, like was
Well, I
this
mean, it was in conjunction with us, but it was definitely, hey, what if I do this? And hey, yeah, you should do
is
that.
that out of is that like out of the playbook of like how the Dead operated? I'm not sure if
I
that's
don't-
how, because I know that there was a
They
lot of
allowed
tape
taping.
trading. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if
And tape trading, I know that helped.
Right.
But I'm not. I was just curious if
I'm sure that it was that what the Dead did certainly spilled over into what was going on.
Mhm.
I don't think it was like, hey, let's do what the Dead
Yeah,
did.
no, but I'm
the
just-
fact that he was selling them at the next show,
yes.
like literally you walk through the door and there was Dubba at our merch table,
Yeah.
or our merch table had him or whatever it was, selling them. Be like, here's the last show, and just getting rid of as many tapes as possible.
And you know what's interesting now is like all these jam bands, they do that now after, like, you go buy the show right afterwards on
Right.
a flash drive or something.
Right.
That's really interesting, and that's that like crazy forward thinking that like, oh, this is a good idea. Let's try. You don't know what you're doing, but
Right.
all along it's like that's the basis of how
There
you
was
guys
a lot
are.
of that we did. I mean, that's what Hookahville turned into, all these giant
Right.
festivals.
Oh
I
my
mean, it
God.
was definitely a precursor
Yeah.
to a lot of them. So
So then what was like? You guys just like, let's just throw a big party? Is like
basically, I mean, I've told this story a million times.
sure,
I'll tell
I'm
it
sure.
here. I lived out in the woods in Fredericktown, Ohio,
Mhm.
with a friend of mine, and he was the manager of the band, Jeff Spencer,
okay.
at the time, and it was like, hey, we should play outside. I mean, we'd never done that. Like, let's just play out in the woods. We have the woods,
Yeah.
so let's play here.
Hell yeah.
And what we wanted to get out of it is we needed a pump for our well,
Mm-hmm.
so we had water. That's all we wanted out of it.
See if we can make enough money to buy this pump, man. We
I
can
mean,
have
the
water.
band was going to get paid, but that's what we were going to get paid as owners of the land.
Right,
We just
right.
wanted the pump. That's it. I wanted to have running water in the
I
cabin.
just want running water.
That's it. So we did. I mean, we just kind of put out the word. We didn't do an awful lot of advertising or anything. I
Yeah.
mean, there wasn't any Facebook or anything
no
like
internet.
that then.
No
None
internet.
of that stuff. So, it was like 800 people came, something
Wow.
like that, which is a lot for
That's-
being in the middle of nowhere. And,
Yes.
and they showed up and had a great time. And Ed McGee opened.
Okay.
He was the opener, and that was, I'm guessing, the first time that he played with us. I don't know for a fact, but I'm kind of guessing it was.
Right.
Don't know how it came about. I know I know he was friends with, with people we knew and probably people in the band. I just can't.
Right, that's what he's saying. He's like, we were all friends with the same people, but we just never really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And somehow he opened, and I think that was it. I don't think there were any other bands playing. We pulled in a flatbed, and that was the stage.
That's a great stage.
Yeah. And played in the woods, and had some friends bring out these giant spreads of grills and cook up food, and it's a great time. We said, hey, that was on Memorial Day weekend. We said, hey, let's do it again on Labor Day weekend.
Oh, nice.
And we did, only we found a venue.
Okay.
Songbird Center.
All right.
We went there. It was bigger.
Wow.
I don't remember how many people, over 1,000,
Right.
whatever. So we were like, hey, this is cool. Let's just keep doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that simple. It was no
Right.
grand
This
plan
is
again.
working.
Yeah, it was like people like it.
Yeah.
People are coming. It spreads the word. We can make a little money, the whole bit.
And there wasn't a lot of festivals either, like
No.
that. Not like that. Like Bonnaroo wasn't a thing, and like
No,
and
no.
like Hookahville wasn't even like Hookahville. Like then, this was just you guys are just partying, having a good time.
Yeah, that
trying
was
to
it.
get running water in the fucking farm, man.
That's it.
So it's sort of interesting because what Hookahville developed into, I mean, like it just seems like I don't know if this is true, but like it just seemed like you guys were at the precipice of a wave that sort of spread out from. I don't know if it spread from you guys or not. Ideas can travel and they can happen at the same time across the world. I'm just saying, like, you guys, I feel like we're one of the first ones to sort of put these in action and it was successful grown out. I mean, like, I remember reading about it in High Times and shit. So it's like,
There's a picture of me holding a Jack Harrabud.
there you go. So it's like it's really interesting to I don't know. I don't even know what's so interesting about it, but it's just that you guys sort of had this idea that sort of flourished, and like now that's the thing. I have friends in bands who are like, we're waiting for the festival season so we can fucking make our money. You know what I mean? So and now it's like that's like one of the bigger ways to get your music out there.
I'll tell you, I'll give you,
Please.
I'll comment heavily on that.
Please.
But remember how you were feeling when you got here?
Yes.
That's how I'm feeling right now.
Oh yeah. Why?
Can we take a minute?
Sure.
I just got to take a leak.
Oh, please. Oh, okay. Yeah. Let me just pause it.
So we're back?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We're back.
So you were talking about Hookahville and how it, and other festivals in the season.
Right. What it kind of spawned on. And what? Well, I mean, like whether or not people are taking a play out of the hookah book, I don't know.
I think a lot did.
Okay, good.
At the time, I believe Leftover Salmon was doing their own show, but there weren't any other bands that I know of that had their own show at the time, like, that had their own festival.
Right.
There were a couple festivals around, but there was nothing really on this side of the country.
Right.
At the time. I think there were a couple out west. I forget which ones. But yeah, definitely there were people who worked for us that eventually started some pretty big festivals. Not worked for the band, but worked for Hookahville.
Right.
A lot of it did.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that no festivals would have ever occurred had we not done Hookahville.
Right.
But I think it did put a bug in people's heads.
Yes.
I definitely think it did. And I'll be honest, I hope that someday people will look back and say, you know what, that was kind of the beginning of something.
Yeah.
It was early. We could get any band back then because they didn't charge as much. Eventually, these big festivals came around and really raised the prices of bands. But we would get bands, and when it was kind of the same, we used to call them dinosaurs. We would get a lot of bands that were up and coming and on the same level as us, but we'd always get one or two. And by dinosaurs, I'm not trying to put them down.
Of course.
They've just been around for a while, and people would come and say, wow, like you can get Bruce Hornsby to play your festival? It's like, yeah, well, why not?
Yeah, it just
not
takes
that
money.
He was old. He wasn't old at all. But, Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
One of my favorite memories, too, like one was having the Neville Brothers was amazing.
Yeah.
When we had War.
War.
That was one of the best, like, afternoon sets I've ever been to at any show ever. I mean, I loved just being there
Yeah.
to see the other bands, that we were getting. And by today's standards, they were cheap.
Yeah.
Now today it's like
Right.
off the hook insane when you have to pay these bands. But then of course, and why you probably came was because we got Rat Dog. And I'm not sure if that's the case, but you said 2000.
Let's see. 2000 was, so Rat Dog and, I mean, the way I came into, because honestly, like, I was not jam at all. Like, my jam was fucking like Weather Report, Miles Davis, Bitches Brew, and on fucking, like just fusion jazz and funk. And it's like anything else was like, fuck you, you ain't doing shit, there ain't nothing, you know what I mean? And like, I had my one friend who was like really into the Dead and loved you guys, and I played with him. And he was like, you should just give him a chance, man. So the actual first time I ever seen you guys was actually at this weird little place down in maybe Hocking Hills, maybe Smoke Rise Ranch.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yes, it is.
I mean, there is a place there.
Okay. And
called Smoke Rise Ranch.
Right. Okay. And I'm pretty sure. So that was the first time. And then like, because he's played his music for me before, and I was not a fan. I was just like, oh, okay, I'm good. I didn't like the Dead, and I didn't even know what Fish was. So at that moment.
Right.
And then you go to a show, and you've heard this a million times.
It's the feeling of the show.
Yes, you walk
vibe.
into the show, and fucking, it's just like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, it's just you guys, and it's, you
Right.
knew.
I've heard.
Yeah, you've heard plenty. So, and then it's like, oh shit, like, because at that point, I thought I heard everything you could do with music, and then what you could do with like a live. Get the fuck out of here. What you can do with a live, audience, but like, fuck, dude, it blew my fucking head off. So that's when I kind of came into you, and I even got, because of you guys, that's why I started listening to the Dead and Fish, and then Mo, and then the whole fucking gambit. But so, there was a transition point to Ed, and everybody's
into Ed, out of Ed.
Exactly. There's a lot of transitions.
Right.
So I do want to talk about the first transition out with Mullins. There's a lot of rumors, and you don't have to go into any kind of lurid details that you don't feel like talking about. But what was the situation like that sort of called for a change?
I mean, I've always told people. I mean, the thing, not just with that specific time, but things are what they are, right? And you do what you do, and there's hard when you're in a band. It's a relationship with all the people in the band, and relationships are difficult with anybody at any time, right? They take a lot of work. Sometimes they just click, and sometimes what did click doesn't click anymore, right? People change in a lot of different ways. With John in particular, at that time, which I think was like 95, 96, something like that. That would be 1995, 96 for the really young listeners here. John had got to the point where his drinking was a real problem. I mean, flat out, that's just the way it was. And that's nothing new for people to hear.
Right.
He was getting to the point where he had been at the point where he was just having trouble on specific nights, some nights, performing well. I and anybody else in the band and have always felt and would always feel you do whatever the hell you want to do, but you got to be able to carry your weight. When you're with the band, when you're not with the band, you can do whatever you want to do.
Right.
Nobody cares,
Right.
But even when you're with the band, you do whatever you want to do, but you got to be able to carry your weight on stage. It wasn't happening. It was never at a point where like we didn't like John, where we hated John. There was nothing like that. We wanted to help John. We offered to help him out in a lot of different ways, and it wasn't something he wanted to do. We still put up with it for a long time, and I don't want to make this sound like it was different than it was. We had some great times even at that point. There were fun times and great times. It's hard, when you look back on relationships, a lot of times it's easier to remember the bad things than the good things. That's just, I don't know, human nature, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, there were a lot of good times, and there was a lot of good music, and there were some phenomenal shows, and stuff like that. But it did get to the point where there was some threats of and sometimes actual violence that got into it, and there were some things that happened between band members, and it wasn't cool anymore. And we got to the point where it was like, look, hookah is not going to exist anymore. Acoustic hookah will be gone if we keep up doing it this way. And we had to get rid of them. And that's what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
No,
it sucks to say it, and some
course.
people don't want to hear that, probably, who will hear this, but that's what happened, and it's not like anybody sits back and says, I don't look back and say, fuck you, John, or I hate John, or I hate him. For things happen, and people go and do what they got to do for various reasons. John had his demons like we all do, and he dealt with them the way he dealt with them, and that was his choice. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys remained friends throughout the rest of his life?
There was a, there was a time right after that where, I didn't talk to him or see him. You mean me in particular,
yes,
the band?
Just
I didn't see him for a while. I can't tell you for how long. Maybe I'd see him in passing here and there. There were probably some moments that were good and some that were bad. He started his band, John Mullen's band. They did their thing. I don't think I ever went to see him play. I mean, I was traveling all the time, working. And I didn't live in Columbus where he lived. So I didn't really run into him. I do remember his mother passed away, and I went to her funeral. I felt I wanted to do that for him. And I don't know if I'd even seen him for a while at that time. I don't remember what year it was or anything like that. So again, it was never like I hate John Mullins.
Right.
It wasn't like I want to do anything bad to John Mullins.
Right.
It was all about acoustic hookah.
Right.
That's it. It was something that had to be done, or everything that's happened since then would not have happened.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean,
here you are with your dreams of being in a rock and roll band. Like, I'm not letting that stop this.
Right. Well, you can't. You got to do what's right for your situation. And I mean, throughout my life, and if you talk to a bunch of people, they would tell you I'm a extremely loyal person. Not loyal in a sense that like a dog loyal,
right.
but loyal in a sense that, if I work with you on whatever level, I'm going to do everything I can to continue to work with you.
Yeah.
To a fault.
Right.
And a lot of times. I mean, there's a lot of times I've done things that turned out not to be the right thing professionally or for the financially or whatever, because I feel that way.
Yeah.
But that's where my heart is, But at that point in time, there had to be a move made, or it was all going to just self-destruct.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, totally, man. I mean, like, you can't be mad. Well, there are people, I'm sure plenty of people were mad about that, who were mad about that.
Yeah, there were some mad people.
But like, it's just like it's like you can't really say that to, thousands of people. It's like, hey, explain what you explained to me, and then have them accept that.
Well, you kind of don't want to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I mean, this is different. Like I can talk it out here.
Yeah.
I've always told people, if you want to talk to me in private, I'll talk. I mean, I'm not ashamed of anything I or we as a band ever did.
Yeah.
I'm not. And I'm a big believer that, in life you should do things and be proud of what you do and be willing to deal with the consequences of what you do. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
the way it is,
Absolutely.
If you can't deal with that, you shouldn't do it.
Right.
And I mean, people do make mistakes, that too, but then you have to deal with that and admit you made a mistake. That at that time was not a mistake. It just wasn't.
I don't think so. History proves that.
Well,
so.
even but regardless of what happened afterwards with that and all that, it had to be done at that time. That was the time it had to be done. It wasn't done. Nobody was happy about it.
Right.
It wasn't like we partied afterwards.
Right.
And
It's
said,
like, hey, he's gone.
No, that's not what happened. It
probably
was a sad time.
yeah.
It was a difficult time.
I'm sure that transition. So, I mean, fuck, dude, because it takes years for bands to like lock in and really be and so to get to a certain point and then have to sort of, anybody that's played in bands before knows that like you change any one person in that band, the whole dynamic changes.
Absolutely.
And so I mean, fuck, man, to have to sort of reinvent that. I mean, you guys done that several times. Like that's a huge challenge. And so what was the reception? I know I asked Ed what was the reception, but what was your perception of the reception of the change?
So bringing in Ed?
Yeah.
It was varied. There were, I shouldn't even say that. It was, there were people who were upset that John was gone. Those people just stopped coming to see us for the most part. There were some that still did. I shouldn't say, not all of them. I mean,
yeah,
it wasn't like, I'm sure there were people who only saw us because they liked John's songs. They didn't like my songs.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was the case,
right.
But a lot of them still liked, say, Sweeney's playing. That's a big draw. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So, he's kind of good.
He's all right.
He's all right.
He's all right.
So, there were some people who stopped coming. There were some that still came. And, and they would heckle us and heckle Ed.
That's right.
At times.
He said that.
You play through it.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you do? It's again, we were solid in what we did.
Mm-hmm.
You felt okay about it. Not good in a sense, again, that we were happy about it,
Right.
but good that it was the right move at the time. We were lucky that Ed was there to step in. It was a mixture of that he was friends already. We knew him personally, not necessarily well. I didn't know him well, but we knew of him. We had heard his music, his songs. We felt that his songs could mesh well with our songs that we were playing, or at that time, what was basically my songs. He was a good guitar player. He sang well. It was like, it was a mixture of, it was a good pick and convenience.
Right.
There's no doubt about it. We could have had, we could have auditioned for months, and gone through all these people, and I mean, we could have done that, and that's what most bands probably do, I would guess.
Right.
We didn't do that. We've never done that. It's always kind of been, let's pop somebody in, let's go.
Yes.
Let's go,
Yeah, yeah.
And it worked really well. I mean, there was, I'm not going to say it was seamless, because it wasn't seamless,
Right.
because there were people who were pissed off, but you're not going to lose a major songwriter in a song or in a band and have a seamless transition.
Right.
That's just not realistic. So I would say that it was as seamless as we could have hoped it would have been.
Yeah.
But, we've never put a lot of forethought in much of anything we've done. I mean, just being honest here, it's all kind of just like, let's go with it.
You're just going with the
What's
momentum
next?
of the.
Yeah. So, Ed, boom, there he was. And he was in the band.
We're
There
on
we
our
go.
way, yeah.
We did a series of shows as a foursome
Okay.
also in there where it was all my songs, which was kind of rough. Because again, I mean, I get tired of myself.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like we were never that. We were never a one songwriter band.
Right.
And that was, it worked, but it couldn't have lasted long.
Right.
I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it worked out.
It's Ekoostik Hookah. It's not, Dave Katz
not-
and three other guys.
Right,
You know,
right.
it's like it's everybody. And
Yeah.
It's always going to be everybody.
So with Ed, when Ed came in, you guys, I mean, you guys only seem to have gotten bigger. And, I asked Ed, I was like, do you feel like that some of that's attributed to your presence? So I'm going to ask you the same question. And he said it was a very nice way of saying it. It was he said in a very nice,
Damn well
respectful.
better have. I'm going to see him soon.
But what is your opinion on that? on that
I mean,
thought?
like I said, it was a good transition. We were definitely riding a wave.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it. We were going. Hookahville was going.
Yeah.
That was a big thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
When Mullins left, was it?
Yeah, we were in our second or third year of
it was-
Hookahvilles, something like that. So you multiply that by 2, that's where we were,
Yeah,
right?
so 6 in.
They were getting bigger and bigger every year. I
Right.
don't know where they were at that point.
Right.
I'm going to guess we were doing 4,000 people, 5,000 people at Hookahville. I mean, and you have to realize when we were playing Hookahville, when we were doing Hookahvilles, not all of the people were coming because they were Ekoostik Hookah fans.
Right.
So we were putting ourselves as headliners of a festival in front of a lot of new people every time.
Yes.
Okay. You play in front of a lot of people. Some people might not like you, but a lot of people are going to like you.
Absolutely.
So we had this going. Okay,
That's
I'm
genius.
not
That's
going to.
genius.
Well, it's not something. Again, it's not
Right,
something
you didn't
we
think it up
planned.
too much, yeah.
It's just that's what was happening, right?
Yes.
So, and I'm not taking anything away from Ed at all.
Good.
Okay. I'm not going to sit here and say we could have plugged anybody in and it would have done that. That's not
Right.
the case at all. But Hookahville was a force that was going to build Ekoostik Hookah to some extent, no matter what.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So you put in Ed. Ed had some great songs. There was good chemistry on stage, especially. He had a good stage presence. He had energy on stage. People liked it. John did too, but it was a different energy. We made him grow his fucking hair because he had that crazy short hair shit going on. So at least he had to look like he was in a band, but which he did, and it all worked.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you gonna say? I mean, yes, absolutely. Everybody in the band had a part in the band growing.
Yes.
There's no way I'm going to sit here and say, well,
Yeah.
any one person had nothing to do with
Yeah.
it. Of course, everybody did, and Ed did too. His songs, especially certain songs, became very popular. He, in my eyes, he came to the band with a limited amount of songs, at least that we were playing, and he grew exponentially as a songwriter during his time in the band. I can't explain what I mean by that besides as a songwriter, I could see him growing.
He flourished.
I mean, he spread his wings as a songwriter.
Especially when you have, when you have a fucking stacked ass band of like badasses, and you get to like, here, let's make something out of this. I mean, like, it has to do something, like that has to.
I would hope it had something to do with us, but he, whatever the case was, and he, as he wrote more songs and more of them became popular and the band became more popular and everything was going well. I mean, there was really nothing, certainly outwardly, that was bad.
Yeah.
It was going well. I think. So yeah, the answer to your question is yes. He certainly had a part in the band getting bigger.
Yeah.
I think it was a combination of everybody in the band, Ed, and Hookahville.
Right.
And not taking away from anybody in the band, Hookahville was the driving thing.
Yeah.
What grew us the most, in my eyes, was Hookahville.
Yeah.
We had to perform at Hookahville. We had to do a good job. We had to give people something to like. But the fact that we were bringing in these huge acts, playing last after them as a headliner,
I love that so much.
That was our thing, you know. And we're like, whatever anybody wanted to do is like, no, we're playing last.
Yeah.
We are closing the night every night, and we're going to play 3-4 hours, whatever we're going to do.
Yeah.
And we're going to be on the big stage and the big lights, and we're going to look as good as we can. That was the biggest fact, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't want, not taking away from Ed, not taking away from myself, my writing, not taking away from Sweeney, not taking away from, Eric's drumming, not taking away from anything.
Right.
There was a momentum, and that festival was huge.
Yeah.
It was just huge.
Yeah, totally. Man.
Now, I don't know if we would have ever been that big without the festival. Maybe, maybe not.
Right.
That's
Right,
speculation.
And that's the whole
I don't
thing
know.
about that question. Even, like when I was prepping for this, like that question popped in my head and I was like, that's a fucking stupid ass hypothetical. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, how could you ever know that?
You can't.
So like,
You can't.
while you're explaining this whole thing, which I appreciate, thank you very much. I was like, well, you said you weren't going to say this question because how can you know?
You can't know.
Fucking
You
know.
can't know. I
You
mean,
can't fucking
my
know.
guess would be no. I mean, the odds are that we would have been doing what every other band does, and the percentage, the probability of growing at that rate without putting yourself in front of that many people is small.
Yeah.
It's still small, even with that many people. You know what I mean? But it's bigger. It's a better probability because there's more people.
Yeah.
How were we going to get in front of that many people without having Hookahville?
Right. Right.
How?
You made your own fucking. That's what I love about. That's what I love about this fucking band is that you guys have completely carved your own fucking path the whole way.
That's true.
And then so you know, like so during these times, I mean, you had to have seen like contemporaries getting like record deal. Like I remember OAR. I remember seeing OAR opening for you guys in somewhere, you know, some fucking place.
Right.
I just remember the acoustics.
I think it was in Delaware, wasn't it?
Probably. It was
like a college or something.
Yeah, the acoustics in there were garbage.
Yeah.
It was just like every time fucking Eric would hit a snare, you'd hear like 10 of them bounce back at you. But you know, like it was a great show and everybody had fun. But I mean, like were you okay with that? I mean, because were you guys approached by record company? I mean, because you guys generated this huge independent.
I don't think we ever were.
I mean, were you?
I don't know if we would have gone that way anyways.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, like, was that something you guys were even interested in?
I learned my lesson about record companies when I was in Haven.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Going back, I mean, we dealt with record companies and stuff like that and demands, and I can't speak for everybody in the band whether they would have wanted to go that route. I never had any desire myself. I like controlling what we do.
Yes, absolutely.
As a band, having control. I mean, I'm a control freak myself. And everybody in the band will say that, and I'm sorry, but that's the way I am.
Yeah.
I always have been. It's important to me to be able to, you know, you play when you want to play. You go where you want to go.
Yeah. You're your own fucking boss, man.
Yeah, and you know, at that point, we were our own fucking boss.
Yes.
But, you know, it that was important. And we did, you know, at one point, we did go with a major agency, and unless you're the top of the agency, they don't do shit for you. I mean, they do a little bit, but it's not what you want them to do.
Right.
And I don't know. I you know, again, this is one of those things where it's like, you know, you could speculate that it may have been different if you went a different way, but it might not have been different. It may have been worse.
Well, and what I was curious about was if you were actually interested, and if maybe you were like, what the fuck, these guys are you know, like, you know, you're playing with these contemporaries of yours, and you know, all of a sudden they're on MTV and you know, doing the whole thing. I was just curious if you were like, what the fuck, when's it ours? But you guys had such a crazy, awesome thing you're doing anyways. You had your own, like I said, you guys carved your own path.
Yeah, I mean, certainly at that time, I mean, I was like, this is, you know, great. I mean, what are you going to complain about?
Right.
There's nothing. I mean, I would have liked to make more money, but who wouldn't? You know?
Exactly.
But as far as having fun and being able to, you know, have a life on top of it, which to me is a hugely important thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, a band cannot be my whole life. Never could be. That's just not me.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes if you get a deal and that type of thing, that's what you can get caught up in, is that you don't have a choice. It's like somebody else is telling you, this is what you're doing.
Yes.
This is how you're doing it, when you're doing it, where you're doing it.
Yeah.
And then how do you have this anything else and really make it matter, you know? And I'm a family guy. I'm a family first guy. That's it. Always have been, always will be. Nothing more important.
Yeah, man. I'm with you, man.
That's the way it is.
I'm with you. I had to learn it. I had to learn how to do that. But I learned, and now it's just like, it's everything, man.
Yeah.
I can't, like, someone asked me a question I started improv yesterday, which is completely terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
But we had to interview each other, and they were asking me, you know, like, what do you do with your free time? And I'm just thinking, like, right now, I completely work for myself. And when you work for yourself, the thing that comes along with that is that, like, you're kind of always working in some way, even if you're just watching TV and you're strumming a guitar or something, you know, like, that's somewhat work. I'm just mindlessly running scales.
Right.
It's just, that's work. You know, fuck, I forgot my point. God damn, I'm such a
family first.
Family first. Shit, man. What the fuck? I interrupted all this. This is terrible. You know, I purposely didn't smoke weed today before this because I wanted to be on my game.
I told you we should have smoked before.
I know, like, what the fuck? I should have just smoked a bowl with Dave Katz. But anyways, so we'll just move on from there. Because, you know, you're right. Rat Dog was one of those things that sort of, I wanted to go see Bob Weir. I never seen him, and in the short time that I've known about you guys, I sort of went all in on the jam thing. So that's just sort of what happened. Mm-hmm. And so we going and seeing that. So you had these experiences with these awesome, amazing bands, the Dinosaurs, and so I asked Johnny and I asked Ed. So I have to ask you: Do you have any experiences with Bob? How's Bob?
Oh yeah, I mean,
how is he as a person?
I mean, he's a very cool, mellow person. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, my experience with him is that he likes to talk about cooking. That he does not really. When I was around him, he didn't really like people coming up to him and doing that whole like fan thing, like, which I think a lot of musicians are like that. But like, oh, do you remember when you played such and such and such? And it's like, no, I don't fucking remember that. You know, I don't know. I mean, I guess one story that pops out with him is when he was at Hookahville one time, and we were just hanging out. I guess I have two. I mean, well, I remember the first time we were there, and I went in onto his bus, and I was like, so we'd love you to come out and jam with us. You know, would that be cool? And he said, he was like, yeah, sure, And I was like, well, we've been working out some tunes. He's like, well, when do you want to play? And I told him we want to do Sailor Saint.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, "Oh, that's ambitious." that was his. And now, like I said, when I first was in Logo Color, I didn't even know the Grateful Dead, right? So I'm not an aficionado. I still am not.
Yeah, me neither. But
as it turned out, he hadn't played that song in those songs in like a long time.
Right.
And we went out, and I think we nailed it. Unfortunately, I don't think there's like a YouTube video of it or anything, but I think we nailed it. I mean, we did it really well. And not long after that, Rat Dog started doing it.
Nice.
So that was kind of cool.
Hell yeah.
But maybe he needed us to like, jog his memory a little bit and be like, yeah, this is kind of cool, So that was cool. And I'll tell you my story of his burntness.
Okay.
Well, let's go that way. And not that I'm not burnt myself, because I am a burnt person. But and we were hanging out. I remember we were hanging out, and we were just standing. I was like outside of this trailer, backstage at Hookahville or whatever. And he asked me for a light, and I gave it to him, and he lit his cigarette. And I can't remember. I was smoking cigarettes at that point too. So we're just hanging out and just smoking cigarettes. And I don't even think we were talking or whatever, but it was time for him to go. And he had borrowed my lighter. And instead of giving me the lighter back, he gave me his cigarette butt.
Oh yeah, here you go, bud.
I was like, thanks, but can I have my lighter?
So did you put it in a glass case and hang it up on your
No, I think I probably put it in my pocket, which is what I did at the time, and threw it out. But
I think that's actually a great thing to point out too. Pick them up.
oh, I never
Don't
threw
just
them on the ground.
throw your
never,
fucking shit. I am so disgusted. I used to smoke. I don't smoke anymore.
I smell like an ashtray all the time. My
God,
clothes
it's
were like
awful.
an ashtray. I put it in my pockets.
The night after a bar of heavy drinking and smoking was like the taste in your mouth the next day is like, you just like you went to bed drinking fucking dirty toilet water.
Right.
That's
and that was pretty much every night. So, at that time anyways.
So were you guys at that time, were you guys in like, at the height of all of this, were you guys partying a lot? Were you guys like really getting into it, or were you guys kind of keeping it?
Yeah, I think everybody was kind of partying and doing their own thing. We were never the kind of band where we were like, let's get together before the show and all do this.
Right.
Like it was never like that.
Yeah,
it was just everybody was doing whatever the hell they were doing.
Right.
And again, like I said before, as long as you were performing,
Do what you gotta do, baby.
not only did nobody care, but nobody really. I never like went to up to whoever and be like, "Hey, what'd you take tonight?" I mean, it wasn't like that. It was just like,
Excuse me.
you did what you did, and as long as everything, and at that time especially, I mean, the performances were good.
Yeah.
I would say 90% of the time, everybody was pretty much on point. Mm-hmm. Maybe more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So, you guys have this amazing platform and environment that you guys created and built and elevated the band to, like awesome level for an independent band that's just sort of made their own way. When I was talking to Ed, when he was talking about the time when he was getting ready to go, he was saying that, financially the band wasn't doing so well and that he hadn't been paid. And, this is, I'm not direct quoting him, but he was just saying pay wasn't. Okay. So
I listened to that part.
I'm just, like what was kind of going on. And, I'm not asking for text.
No, it's all good. We
slips or anything. I'm just
I hear you.
Curious.
No, it was. I mean, he was right. It was we had we had one particular Hookahville. People affectionately call it the Mudfest. And it was in, I believe, 2001.
Okay. Is that
Maybe,
Bela Fleck?
maybe fall. It was Willie Nelson.
Oh, that was Willie. Okay,
And there
didn't
was,
make that.
I think, there's a lot of New Orleans things. So I'm thinking maybe Little Feat was there. I'm thinking, and Dr. John was definitely there.
Yeah, I think that's
it was
the
a
one.
great lineup.
Yeah.
And it was a huge crowd. It was like 11,000 people or something.
Jesus
I mean,
Christ. Yes.
amazing time.
Right.
But it rained, not just there, but for about 3 weeks leading up to the show.
Oh shit.
And through the show.
Oh, wow.
And any other promoter would have canceled the show. I mean, we should have canceled, financially speaking, but that's not how we were. You know what I mean? It's like, well, we're going to do it. It cost us a lot of money to put on that show.
Wow.
People would have no clue. With 11,000 people there, we should have done all right.
Yeah.
We lost a lot of money.
Wow.
We had to repair the land. I mean, the land was destroyed at Frontier Ranch. It was destroyed. That debt followed us for a while. And in an effort to pay it off, we were not getting paid. So that's what was going on as far as the payment. I mean, I'm not going to say we never got paid a cent. I think we got paid something, but it wasn't what we would need to survive well, or what we were used to or anything like that. And again, I don't want, some people think, well, Ekoostik Hookah, you were doing this and this and you were making tons of money. We were never making a ton of money.
Yeah.
I wish we were. If we were, I would tell you. We were not. I mean, when we were having those huge Hookahvilles, I think the tickets were like $35.
Yeah, which is insane to think about. I was just fucking thinking about
look at
that.
the lineups we had. They were $35.
Yes.
Now, we didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And that's what things were going, again, things have escalated to a ridiculous point, in my opinion, at this, $300 a ticket to go to a festival. And that's if you're at the lower level.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of crazy, but that's where it was. And we were just happy to do what we were doing and provide what we were providing.
Right.
So, that's what was going on. I mean, we just weren't, he's right. We weren't making a lot of money at the time.
Right. Well, I mean, fucking. So what then? So Ed left, and he was saying that there was other factors that he didn't want to talk about, and that's
well, there
fine.
were. I mean, there
was like attitudes or something.
There were attitudes. There were creative differences. There was no doubt about it. It was all there. Like I was saying before, Ed, Ed's a great songwriter, and he became a better and better songwriter through the time he was in the band. I'm not going to say it's because of the band, but that's what happened.
Right.
And it's a natural thing. The more you write, the better you should get at it.
Absolutely.
I have a lot of songs that I've written that Hookah doesn't play. I've always believed with Ed's songs that there are some songs that were not Hookah songs. We didn't always see eye to eye on that. Never once said to him, I don't believe, and I would never say to him that they were bad songs or anything like that. And I'm not going to say that there wasn't things going on with the other members or anything, but I'm just saying between Ed and me.
Right.
There were some differences, and we got into it pretty heavy about some shit.
Yeah.
As I recall, it was more than anything else musical stuff. I don't think we ever had any issues. It was mostly musical stuff. Maybe it was other stuff too. It's hard to remember.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, there were differences, and we had it out a couple times, not physically, but verbally.
Yeah.
And and he decided to go a different direction, which I mean, I think everybody respected it. When sometimes when people leave situations and things like that happen, it's not always a really smooth thing. It wasn't that smooth. Not going to put blame on anybody. It just wasn't that smooth.
Yeah.
We could all see things a different way. And at this point, like I'm sure Ed said, we're past that.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing. I don't know if things, again, same thing. If things would have gone differently, I don't know what would have happened for anybody.
Right.
But I think Ed's in a good place.
Yeah.
I think that I'm in a good place. I think the band's in a pretty good place.
Yeah. Man.
So, hey,
well,
good.
Well, so the one thing that well, there was a lot of people actually reached out to me and thanked me for this, which I didn't, but I got to ask. So after Ed left, what I noticed immediately, because I think Ed left a little bit after I left for California, And so, like, up to that point, I'd been going to shows still, and, you know, like, whatever. I was a fan, but I had my own shit. And so, like, when I moved out to California and I found out that Ed left the band, we realized we didn't have any of the fucking CDs because we were downloading off of iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was like, oh, shit, let's download the album.
Right.
And then, to our surprise, you know.
No Ed songs.
No Ed song.
Okay. So, I also heard this on Ed's interview. So, and yeah, I mean, basically, and you know, I mean, people can have their opinions and they can think whatever. There was no, it was not a I don't know what you'd say it. There was not a revenge kind of thing or anything like that. During that time, we really didn't have any. We didn't have any contact with Ed.
Oh.
I mean, once he said he left. It was a very short time, as I recall, that we were in contact, but then we weren't in contact with him. Now, I'm not a computer person at all.
Okay.
Downloading music, you know, and I've never done it in my life.
Well,
I
and
still
at that
haven't
time,
to that point.
well, and
It was
at that
just
time,
starting at that
right?
time.
Exactly.
Right. So the contact was made about putting our stuff on these platforms,
Right.
And in order to, when you do that, there is compensation for doing it. We could not collect his money legally.
Right. What's the?
I don't know what else to say about it. I did, and I heard Ed talk about it, and we did talk about it. I brought it up, and it was kind of one of those things where it was like, okay, well, at the time when that happened, well, this is what has to happen. Here's our music that John was back in the band, so we could put his songs up.
Yeah.
I could deal with that. He could sign off on it. We could
Right.
pay him what he's supposed to get paid and blah,
Right,
blah,
right.
blah. Ed wasn't in the band.
Yeah.
And we didn't have it. We can't collect his money
Yeah.
legally without his permission.
Right.
It just, you know, it's just not the way it works.
Right.
Or at least not now. Maybe it's different. I don't even know, you know. Then it just
weird.
kind of like disappeared. Like, I mean, out of my mind.
Right,
out of our
right.
mind. It was like,
Well,
well, that's what it is.
Right, and
I don't
you
think
have a
about
band to
It's
run
not
it.
something I think
Yeah.
about every day.
Of course.
I think it was last summer that I talked to Ed about it. I kind of brought it up to him and said, like he said, I said, look, I think we can remedy this. I mean, there's no reason it can't happen, and
Right.
I think it should happen at this point. It didn't happen then. It should happen. I don't, to be honest, I don't even know the steps that need to be taken. I'd have to look
Yeah.
into it.
It's so
which
weird.
I could.
Right.
And it should at this point. I mean, it wasn't, regardless of what anybody says, and I know Ed said on his thing that, you know, I'm not sure if that's but it is. It really is. It wasn't like, you know, fuck Ed.
Right.
Where, you know, we don't want anybody to hear his music. You could still hear it if you
Right.
bought the CD. So it's not like we were like erasing his music from the world.
You didn't Hulk Hogan him.
No, no, that wasn't the purpose. I will say that at the time, there was not going to be any like excessive effort
Yeah.
to be made because that's just where we were.
Yeah, man.
You know, it was an unfortunate time in a lot of ways. When there's a breakup, again, we go back to the relationship thing. When there's a breakup, there can be bad feelings,
Yeah.
you know, and there were.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was on his side, there was on our side.
Right.
That and luckily we've gotten past that. It took a long time
Yeah.
to get past that.
Thankfully.
In the interim,
Yeah.
there really wasn't much thought to, hey, let's figure out what we can do to get Ed's songs on Spotify or whatever the hell it is. I mean, like I said, I've never even been on Spotify. I don't even, to this day, I've never been on it. I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
it should be on there. And I hope that we can work it out and get it on there.
Yeah.
And you know, and hopefully that'll be available. And to all those who wanted to hear his songs, I'm sorry. You know, what do you want me to say? I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry. It didn't happen. That's,
Yeah.
you know, shit happens. And,
Shit fucking happens.
and you could always buy the CDs and get,
There you
get
go.
them that way.
Okay, so they are still, so the ones that are in, the CDs that are in print, you can still get Ed songs on
Yeah.
those CDs. Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely.
I had no idea. Like,
Sure, yeah.
Well, because, okay, in my small fucking minded way of thinking back in 2006 or whatever the fuck it was, I was just like, well, I guess that's it for them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's just,
No, I understand. I mean, it I'm sure it looked very weird, and that wasn't the intention.
no.
Well, it certainly wasn't the intention to make it look strange, but I mean,
No.
it just did, and the way the way a lot of it went down was strange. I mean, it was just
I'm sure.
strange to all of us.
Well, I
So,
mean, this
you know.
is a strange business.
It
There's
is.
nothing. There's nothing that's not.
That is, and when you're talking about things like that, there's always legal, you know, what do you call it, red tape,
Yeah.
you know, and that's just the way it is, and,
For sure.
and you have to deal with it, and you can't just like say, hey, I want it to be this way. It just
Right.
doesn't work like that.
So then, okay, I know I said we cap at 2 hours.
Oh,
here.
I don't care. I'm in no hurry.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
I
but
don't care.
I'm just, like, I'm coming at this
I'll
like.
talk all night. Let's go.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'm coming out. I'm coming out as like a fan as well as someone who's just trying to curate information. But so with Mullins back in the band, was that something? I mean, that didn't last very long. Well, how long was that stretch? Like
I think
maybe
it was a few years.
couple years.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing too. Okay, so
and then just
Yeah, yeah.
and on top of it
Yeah.
as well, with Mullins in the band for this smaller period of time, and then I know there was a couple years where Hookahville didn't happen as well. Was that in conjunction? Or?
well, it was called the Ville.
Oh, you all did something
Yeah,
else.
it still happened in a sense. It was run by somebody else. We switched the area of Ohio that was in. We switched
Okay.
kind of the format a little bit. We called it the Ville
Gotcha.
instead of
Okay.
Hookahville, but it never stopped happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I don't know why. See, I'm fucking.
Yeah.
Well, and and to be completely honest, is like when Ed left the band is when I sort of lost interest, and
Right.
and
And a lot of people did.
and that's really unfortunate because preparing for this, like I listened to Bridges. Is that what you call it? Bridge. Okay, and then Ambrosia.
Halcyon.
Halcyon,
But
Ambrosia is a
on
song
it.
on there,
Yeah.
which totally fucking. As soon as I heard those melodies, I was like, "That's almost like a Steely Dan sounded
Yeah,
like."
thank you.
I'm right. Okay. Were you into Buddy Powell as well as a
much.
piano player?
Not much.
Okay.
No.
Well, it's just like when you play fucking like when I'm listening to you play, like I just hear fucking when you're
Really?
doing those country licks and shit. Like, I mean, because he was the pianist for Leonard Skinner.
Right.
And fucking, I mean, they had
Yeah,
a lot of that Southern country
I
rock.
definitely. It's not something. A lot of what I play comes. It's like a subliminal thing, you know. Like it's just collected in my head from all that I listened to. I've listened to a ton of his playing.
Right,
You know.
but at some point you had to have dug in and started like learning what they're doing, or is it just
No.
it just naturally came to you?
Well,
I mean, you weren't
I've
trying
never
to figure out licks. I
No.
mean, because like you
No.
play you.
it's weird, but no.
Well, there's players who play. And like sometimes, and I'm sorry to deconstruct you. I know this can be uncomfortable.
No,
but,
it's all good.
but sometimes
You'd have a hard time making me uncomfortable.
Okay, good. Well, I know it's uncomfortable for me when people are like, when you did this thing. Okay, thank you.
Right,
But
right.
It's just uncomfortable. I don't know. For me, I just project. Okay, so
I can live with that.
okay, thank you. So, well, like when I was listening, like there are like you're a very intentional player, is what I was saying, and there are moments where you can definitely hear for speed, and you're just you're ripping through there, but then like you hear like real intentional licks and intentional movements and what you're doing, and I mean like I was just like you never really dug in and like was like, okay, I gotta learn these licks, and then you built your lick library and like
Not really.
God damn you.
I can't. I can't say that I have. I'm not a student. I've never been a good student of anything.
Okay.
In my life, there's just things. I mean, there's players that I like. There's players I wish I could play like, but I never sat down and tried to learn what they play.
Yeah.
I think the more I listen to somebody, like I think I got a lot from Greg Rowley.
Okay.
He was the original keyboardist from Santana and Journey.
Gotcha.
I think I got a lot from him. But it's funny because what I got a lot of his playing from is his organ playing. And I didn't even have an organ for like the first 5 years I was in hookah or something.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? So it's like, but somewhere it's still in there. And when I listen to him, sometimes it's like, yeah, that's something I would do.
yeah.
Because it's just there.
Yeah.
I think I just draw from my memory, you know, but I don't. No, I'm not a good student. I don't like to practice.
Damn it.
It's not my thing. I like to sit down and I like to just jam and just do what comes naturally. I'm not saying that as if it's a good thing.
No.
It's not.
No.
I would be a much more prolific player if I was not like that.
Yeah.
And I know that.
Yeah, me too. I mean,
Excuse me, but
yeah.
I'm just not. I don't have that kind of discipline.
Right.
I'm not a disciplined person.
Yeah, like we were kind of talking about at the beginning, is just like at some point you're just like, well, this is what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and like you just, I mean, like, are you happy with your playing like now? I mean, do you
I've
feel like
never been happy with my playing.
awesome? You know who said that too? Is fucking Chris from the Works. He said he was not happy with his
Yeah,
playing.
but I bet he sounds like he learned shit.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's definitely he's definitely a
he
student.
sounds like he learned shit.
He
No.
well, and also I was gonna say this earlier before we kind of get back into the timeline of hookah here. I've talked to a lot of the regional jam guys here, like some of the guys from like Sub T, Chris from the Works, and Johnny K from Boogie Matrix. And they all say it's like, man, there wouldn't be like an Ohio, like Sweeney inspired a whole generation of fucking guitarists in Ohio and in the region. I mean, like he was like, I think Chris or Johnny, one of them said there wouldn't be like a Works or whatever it is without Sweeney, and without hookah, there wouldn't be that. And because I've been asking this ridiculous question, I feel embarrassed every time I say it. And I don't even want to say it to you, but here it goes.
Feel free.
Well, like, I was talking to Chris from the Works, and I was saying, I was like, like, do you feel like you guys are kind of picking up the torch where sort of hookah left off? And, even when I say it now, like, it's no slight against you guys at all, because you guys obviously fucking have nothing to prove. You guys you've done amazing things. And he says, like, there wouldn't be the Works without hookah. So, like, like, there wouldn't be... there wouldn't be the workout without Hookahville. Like it all starts with this band. It's just so fascinating to me.
I take pride in that.
You should. God damn,
man.
And
If these bands become bigger than we ever would, I mean, maybe they have. Great. I mean, there's never going to be a jealous bone in my body for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like we came around a little too early.
Yeah, well, I could see
like
that.
if we would have come around 15, 20 years later, wow. I mean, I'd be living in a bigger house probably, but
I mean, especially if you guys were like at the beginning of it, like you were of like, like I'm saying the festival scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's beautiful, man. It's a beautiful story. It really is. And so Mullins, like when he left the band, was that another? Like he kind of like
the second time?
Yeah, the second time. Was that kind of like the first time, or was it just the?
Well, okay. So the first time with Mullins, we kicked him out.
Yeah,
it's the only person we've ever kicked out.
Okay,
we've never kicked out anybody except the first time we kicked out John. We brought him back. Ed left. I remember I was in Florida. Actually, I was on vacation. Thinking like, okay, what do we? Ed left after a New Year's Eve show. Well, I mean, we knew he was going to leave, but that was his last show. And I went down to Florida. Actually, I think I was down in Florida before New Year's Eve because that's what I usually do. And I think I was just kind of thinking like, okay, well, what are we going to do? We hadn't really thought about it. We knew we were going to take some time off after New Year's. I think a couple months. And I thought of John. I was like, well, maybe this would be the way to go. Like what if this could work again? I don't know. You know? Excuse me. I called John and I talked to him down there. He liked the idea, and I was like, but John, things have to be different, And he made a pretty big promise to me, that things would be different, that he would get through shows and he'd be okay, and so on and so forth. And I brought it to the band. And I said, this. I talked to John. I did that without talking to the band first. I didn't hire him or anything like that. But I thought, I'll feel this out. Went to the band and said, look, this is what he said he's going to be like, and blah blah blah. And so we brought John back in. Everybody said, okay, let's give this a shot, see how it goes. It didn't take long before it wasn't going as promised.
Yeah.
But we did gain back some of his old fans, which was nice. Obviously we lost a lot of people like you, for instance, when Ed left. And that's part of it. Yeah. But, it is what it is. It's not something we didn't expect, I didn't expect you to leave, but no, I'm just kidding. I didn't know who the hell you were. So.
But what I was trying to say earlier is that it's a shame that I did leave, because when I listened to Bridges and Halcyon, like you guys are literally playing like at least musicianship and song wise, I feel like you guys are like hitting a different. It's different, but it's a new level. Like
Yeah.
I wish I would have, because it's good music. It's not like fucking Ed left and fucking
Right.
You guys were left talentless.
No, thank you. No, I appreciate that. No, I mean, just like when the first time with John and all that, I mean, we weren't going to like just fold.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't going to happen.
Right.
You know, we do what we do, and
Right.
we're all confident we can do it
Right.
with anybody or without anybody. Well, not with anybody, but without anybody. You
Right.
know what I mean? And so, you know, we bring John in, and we did what we did with John. And again, I mean, there were some great shows, and there was some stuff that wasn't great. As far as him leaving, I think he was in the band for, there's a few years. I mean, I think it was 2009, and I think he came back in 2006, maybe.
Mm.
I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It was something. So it was a few years at least. And in the meantime, also Cliff left,
Oh.
as I recall.
What
and
happened
Phil
then?
came in. Well, Cliff just kind of decided he wanted to go a different way.
Oh.
I mean, he was just like, you know, it's just played out its course for me, and I got to go. So he left.
Fair
you know,
enough.
we brought in Phil.
Yeah.
Phil was cool. I mean, we brought in. He had this like young energy. He was like more of a driving bass player than Cliff. Cliff was more all over the neck, I would like to say, which is a great thing, you know.
Yeah.
And this was a different kind of thing. It was more driving.
Yeah.
But John, we actually went into the studio for Bridge. Is what happened. And the first day in the studio there, kind of some stuff happened, and he quit
Oh.
in the studio first day, which is why Bridge is nearly all my songs.
I got you.
That's the reason why. It was supposed to be like half or whatever John's songs.
Yeah.
And he left that first day, and we were down in Athens, Ohio, recording, and we had that weekend we had a 2-night run at Poston Lake, and which is just outside of Athens. And here we were again. It's like, well, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
So we called up Sarge, Eric Sargent,
Yeah.
you know, and we knew that, again, somebody we knew who was a great musician, and at the time wasn't much of a songwriter. I think he had a couple songs, but not much of a songwriter, but a great musician. He could sing, and we knew he could learn a lot of songs quick.
Yeah.
And we didn't call him to say, like, you want to be in the band, but we were like, we have this gig, and it'd be cool if you could, like, learn 100 songs and come out and play with us, you know, in 2 days.
Right.
And he learned the songs,
Yeah.
and he came out, and it was cool. And we were like, well, let's just give it I forget how long, a month or 3 months or whatever, trial run and see how
Yeah.
this goes. And we ended up keeping
Yeah.
Sarge.
Yeah. That's so again, here you guys are. I mean, and you know, at this time, you know, like you guys saw a slope in fans coming out. Like, I mean, and I don't know. Do you attribute it to all of just Ed leaving, or do you? I mean, like what? I mean, like do you? Or I mean, I know you said he had some debt that was following you. Like what? What do you think attributed to sort of like just
The downward slope.
Yeah. It was just-
Well, again, I you know, certainly when Ed left, there was a dip,
yeah.
but we were already on a downward slope.
Mm-hmm.
I attribute, I think, the main factor to our rise and fall. And by fall, I don't want to mean,
No.
you know, I'm not trying to say like we're done.
Right,
Or anything
no,
like
obviously
that.
not.
But peaking and kind of, you know, ascending, peaking, descending
Mm-hmm.
was Hookahville. Like I said before, I mean, that was what built us up the most was Hookahville.
Yeah.
And everything else played a part, but it was Hookahville. And in about 2001, that's when Bonnaroo came out. Then all these other big festivals
Yeah.
came out. And as the big festivals came out and had these huge ticket prices, they were also paying the bands a lot more.
Ah.
We couldn't afford the bands.
Yeah.
Our lineups were not as big, and there were more options to go to big festivals.
Right.
When we started Hookahville, I mean, by 1999, 2000, I mean, we had cars coming in from Oregon,
Right.
Washington. They were
Right.
coming from all over the
It's
country
crazy. Yeah.
to come to our show.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was
I remember I used to like walk up. I'd take what do you call it? A golf cart up the line wait for these thousands of people coming into Hookahville, and I'd miracle people who are from the farthest away.
That's tight.
That was what I would do. I would just have tickets and be like, here, you came from California, here's a fucking ticket. You came from Oregon, here's a ticket. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's
and
cool.
it was like, it was amazing.
Yeah.
But when there was, all of a sudden there was 1,000 places you could see all the same bands.
Right.
Not 1,000, I'm exaggerating.
No.
But you know what I mean? And as that happened, Hookahville's got smaller.
Yeah.
We got smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I could attribute it to a lot of things. I mean, you could sit here and speculate.
Right.
About a
I
lot
know
of
that's
things,
another speculation.
but I know that Hookahville went like this up, and then went like this down.
Mm-hmm.
And we went like this up, and we went like this down.
Right.
I can't really directly attribute
Right.
it to anything else, but I think I can directly attribute at least part of it to that.
Yes.
The rise of the festival scene, which I feel that we had a big part in
Influence.
building
Yeah.
and influencing,
Yeah.
ultimately led to our, I don't want to say downfall,
No.
but descent.
Right.
You know, it makes sense to me.
Yes.
I don't want to, because I can't sit here and say that, you know, like I said, if things had worked out with John in the first place and Ed had never been in the band,
Right.
I can't say we wouldn't have gotten big.
Right.
We may have, we may not have. I don't know.
Right.
If we would have not had Ed and had Joe Schmo,
Yeah.
I can't say it would have
Right.
or would not have. I don't know. But certainly everybody played a part in it, including Ed, including everybody, Polanski, including everybody. You know, it all had something to do with it.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? If it were other people, it may still have gone the same. It may not have. I can't say.
Of course.
Hookahville did what it did, though, and
But
that's
there is
solid.
but there
You
is
can
a direct
see that.
correlation.
You can
Yes.
see that.
Yes.
You know,
And Dave was making a line graph.
Right,
He was,
right. You
There's
can-
a peak, and then he
yes,
did the little thing.
and the rest is speculation. But what I can say is that being able to have played this long with Steve, which is original,
Yeah.
has been amazing. I think the two of us have something. There's something
Yeah.
that really works, and no matter what you plug in, it works. Having had Eric around since all but the first, I don't know, year and a half or 2 years, I forget what it was.
Right.
Same thing. There's something that really
Yeah.
clicks. We know how each other play. We can sit down with and bring anybody in, and the three of us have been able to keep that together.
Yeah.
And that's been the backbone, you know,
Yeah.
right there.
Hell yeah.
And everybody else have played their roles, and they've all been positive
Yeah.
to whatever extent. You know, we've never had anybody in the band that's like, well, that killed the band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's never happened.
Yeah.
Everybody's been positive, and now, right now, we're sitting here with Sarge and Matt Page, who is just a fucking monster on bass, and again brings another dimension, something we've never had on bass before, which is revitalizing.
Yeah.
It makes us play old songs in a different way,
Hell yeah.
different energy. He's brought something to, especially I think some of Sarge's songs, that's very special and have led to a certain way of jamming within those songs that Sarge's songs may not have reached that level had it not been for Matt's style of playing.
Yeah.
You know, everybody plays their role, you know, and I can't sit here and say that I honestly say that I regret having anybody in the band that's been in the band.
Yeah.
I just, there's no way I can honestly say that. I can say that there's been some bad times with certain people at certain times, for
Yes,
sure.
yes.
But again, that goes back to the relationship thing
Right.
and stuff like that. And breakups are tough, and sometimes they're really shitty.
Yeah.
Some worse than others.
Yeah, for sure. So with Halcyon, which is your guys' latest album, is that everybody who's on that album? Is that the current lineup? Like right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That fucking album is really fucking good.
Thank
like
you.
it's and I mean, like, I was listening and like you can hear like it's not huge because it's not a huge jump, but like when we're talking about kind of a different band with Bridge and Halcyon, I mean, it's always gonna be different every time you switch someone out, but we're kind of, I don't know, like I felt like there was kind of a cohesion that kind of came through.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Oh,
mean
go
to.
ahead. No,
But
please.
actually, Matt didn't play on Halcyon.
Oh, okay.
Phil played on it.
Oh, okay. So
Matt came in right after.
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's totally
because
cool, man.
One of Phil's songs is on Halcyon,
Gotcha. Okay.
actually. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was just saying that you can definitely hear like this, like a band getting to know each other and like settling into each other after years of sort of playing with each other. That's what I heard from Bridge to Halcyon. You know, people are going to interpret it however they want to. Whatever.
Fuck them.
Fuck me too. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, because I mean, I was just as shitty as a fan as all the rest of them. I mean, I was sneaking into Hookahville. I was that asshole. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, you know, I'm not.
You owe me like $50.
I owe you like $400, sir. No, but. Do you take checks?
That's a lot of Hookahvilles for what it costs back then.
No,
but,
it's not 400. I would probably say it would be like maybe 150.
That's not so bad.
Not,
I forgive you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, I'm a little short right now. Anyways, so you guys have found your footing here, and you're feeling good about the current incarnation, and like, I don't know, and this is just an outsider's look. I feel like you guys kind of have a resurgence almost. Do you feel that too, or is it just?
I feel great about where we are as a band musically. I mean, we play really well together.
Yeah,
I feel like when we go out the set lists, and we don't make set lists, but what results as a set list meshes really well usually. Like anytime we have good nights and bad nights, but I mean, we get along, and a big part of it now, it's always been a big part of it, but especially now as you get older, is being able to get along. Yeah. And right now, I mean, just everybody's just very cool with each other. There's just there's really, I don't want to say no, but there's very little animosity at any time. That's important. It's
no bad vibes, no bad attitudes.
No, it's right. No hassles or bad
no,
attitudes.
Thank you.
Right?
Sorry.
It's easy that way, and that's important because there are probably literally in this world millions and millions of great musicians. Right. It doesn't mean you can even spend a night with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
it's like, and we don't play that often anymore. We're not on the road together in a little vehicle and all that kind of stuff like we used to be. But you still got to, you got to be able to go out there and just feel good about who you're with. And that's there. Yeah. And it carries over to the music. Yeah. We just have a good time playing together. And I've always had a good time playing with all the guys that we've ever had at times. And I've had some bad times too. Usually not on stage playing, but at times. Yeah. Certainly there's been that too.
Yeah.
But, over the years, I can't complain about where I am, where the band is. It could have been a lot different, possibly. Right. There we get into the possibly
right,
again.
Speculation.
It could have been better, could have been worse. Yeah. I don't know.
Right.
But like coming for full circle, I feel successful.
Yeah.
In a sense that I have been able to do this for this long, in one band, which is amazing. I mean, the percentage of bands that make it, what are we on, 20, 30, we're not at 30 yet. We're almost at 30
28,
years.
29
Next year
years?
it'll be, so we're at,
no, 29.
Yeah,
right?
It'll be 29 in like April or something like that, right? I mean, that's insane.
Yeah,
that's insane for anything, for anybody having a job doing anything. That amount of time is a long time. I feel fortunate for that, and I feel fortunate for it. I mean, what else can I say? And everybody played a part in it, and I have different feelings about different people and whatever, but on a whole, it's been a great thing on a whole.
I'm almost done. I promise. I won't keep you too long. Your whole family's upstairs waiting for your return.
They don't miss me. They see me all the time.
You're back. Well, this 2.0 thing, and that's sort of, I went to 50 and fucking, I was like, I'm 35 and I'm like, I was like in that crowd. I stupidly took Molly. I'm just like, why did I do this?
It could have been that bad.
It was bad Molly.
Oh, well, that's bad then.
It was like the jaw.
It's not like it used to be.
No, it's not. It really isn't. No, nothing is.
No, that's true.
But oh man, I thought you guys were great, and you guys played well for for a band that kind of got back together after years of being apart. What sort of brought that on? Like, what inspired that, man?
That had been something that had been talked about leading up to that for a little while. I mean, again, there were some personal things that had to be dealt with.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even say dealt with. They needed to be. People needed to come to terms with things, right? And it was bringing 3 people back in that we hadn't played with in a long time. Yeah. 2 of them that we hadn't played with in a really long time, and then Cliff, who we hadn't played with in a long time. And there were, personal issues between various members and stuff like that had to be set aside at least, if not completely forgotten or not forgotten, forgiven,
right?
Come to terms with, however you want to term it.
Right.
The 50th Hookahville seemed like the time to do it.
Yeah.
It just made sense, and
for sure.
It took some what's the word I'm looking for? Coercion. It took a little bit of work from some people with some other people, and I'm not going to name names about who and who, but to bring it all together, it made sense, and it went well, and everybody did a great job, and we got up on stage and we played in a sense as if it had never not happened, for as long as it did.
Right.
It wasn't as good as it was, I don't think, but you put the energy and not just from us, but from the crowd who came to see it. It was pretty special.
Yeah.
We did it again at 52. It was also special. It was fun. I don't know that it'll ever happen again.
Oh.
I have no idea. Yeah. In that exact form, I don't know. I mean, we've talked about things. And when I say we, I'm talking about the people who are in Ekoostik Hookah, right? There are other things that play into it. You have to keep in mind the people who are in the band, who are not in 2.0.
Right.
There's that. There are still feelings that it's not always easy to completely ignore for everybody. And again, I'm not getting into specifics there, but that's the way it is.
Yeah.
I don't know that it'll ever happen like that again. It may.
Yeah.
It may not. There may be other ways of bringing about the songs and stuff without going that route. They could be just as interesting, if not more.
Right.
We'll see. I mean, these are things that I like to think about and try to create, have creative ways to bring back the feeling.
Yeah.
We'll
absolutely.
See. I don't know.
Well, and like I told Ed, I would, I don't know if bringing 2.0 as Ekoostik Hookah is the right thing, because that's what he thought I was saying. Because I had told a friend of mine, the friend who took me to your guys' the first show I ever went to.
Right.
I was asking him, do you got any questions you want to ask him? And he was just like, well, what about a 2.0 tour? And he was like, well, I don't know if we'll ever get back together like that. And that's not what I meant, because I don't think that that's necessary. You know what I mean? I think you guys are on your path. You're doing what you're doing, and that's great. You know what I mean? I think to throw in this it's great. Fans would love it, whatever. But what do I don't know. I don't even really know how to say what I'm saying. I just don't think that that's the answer. And now I said maybe a tour would be cool, because to see you guys sort of do a short run, and by the end of it you guys will be you have to be tight as fuck by the end of a run. You know how it goes.
Yeah. At
the beginning of a run, by the end of the run. That would be interesting. But then a friend of mine today was like, well, what about another album? Maybe an album? And I know you just said, who knows? Who fucking knows? Who knows? And that's your answer, and that's fine. But I'm just sort of puking out the things that I'm trying to
I don't
get
know.
out here.
I mean, I don't know. Well, like I said at the beginning, never had any plans.
There you
go. I still got no plans.
I mean,
it. It's we got there's things coming up that I'm excited about. That are not 2.0.
Yeah. Like what?
That are not, at the end of this month, McStarcats is getting together. So that's me and Cliff and Ed are getting together to do a full band Grateful Dead night.
Nice.
Here at the Odeon in Cleveland on the 25th. It's a free show.
What?
That's going to be a ball.
Damn.
we got two phenomenal drummers and Joe Marcinek's playing with us.
Oh, rock and roll.
So-
I did see that fucking flyer. Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
It was going to be in Toledo, but the
place-
venue closed down.
Civic.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. That's why I knew about it because we were gonna.
So now you need to come to Ohio or to Cleveland.
The Cleveland, yeah, and that's the 25th.
Yeah, same date it was going to be. So I'm really excited about that. We're also playing just the three of us the night before in Cincinnati at Stanley's, which will be fun. And
Yeah.
I mean, Starcats is always fun.
Yeah.
I love playing with that. I love playing with Cliff. I mean,
Yeah.
And again, our harmonies and just the feel, the way we play together is different than the way I play with other guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's fun. Hookah's doing a return to the Newport
Nice.
Music Hall for Halloween,
Hell
which is
yeah.
a Saturday.
Oh, for next Halloween.
This
yeah.
next
yeah,
Halloween.
last Halloween.
Right.
What the
Yeah,
fuck?
we're getting together last Halloween.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
So that's going to be cool, just playing at the Newport again.
Hell
I'm
yeah,
excited
man.
about that. You know, and then we have our regular things that are happening, and Hookahvilles will be
Mm-hmm.
fun and stuff. And, you know, I mean, I have some things in my head and some things I've been talking to some people about that might be interesting if they pan out.
Yeah.
I don't know that they will. And so far, it's just me talking to other people. So
Yeah.
I kind of have to, like, see if they're realistic possibilities and then bring them to the band or, you know, just like they would do the same if they had an idea and bring it to
Yeah.
the band and whatever. And you never know what might happen. But I'm not in any, like, I don't think there's a press, you know,
Right.
there's no pressure to make something happen again.
Yeah.
The 2 times 2.0 did it, felt natural, felt like the thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people came out for 50, not as many people for 52. Could have been the 2.0 thing, could have been
Well,
anything else.
Wow, other things. Yeah.
Again, we're speculating here,
Yeah.
but it definitely, the excitement wasn't as big. Still a good time.
Yeah.
Really good time.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
I
right
don't know
on.
what the
man.
future holds.
Yeah, I mean, all these, I would, because I'll do this sometimes when I ask these speculative questions. I mean, it's fun to think about things. You
Yeah.
know, it's fun to just sort of like play out these different ideas, but. At the end of the day, we're just sitting here like, I don't know.
Exactly.
So what have we
Who
solved
knows?
with that?
We'll call it the acoustic future.
The acoustic future. Wait, is there some? Wait, so do you guys do? Wait, is Acoustic Willie? That's you guys and Glowstick Willie
That's Glowstick Willie and Steve
and you
and me.
Okay, that because I saw Acoustic Willie. What the fuck is that? It's because when I got back into town, you know, I didn't know anybody, and
Right.
like, you know, everything's different.
Right.
I don't you know, and so like all of a sudden, like there's an Acoustic Willie, and
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like I came back here, and all of a sudden things are all weird and
Yeah,
different.
that's a lot of fun. The 5 of us just rock.
That's tight.
So like, we do a lot of their tunes, and which are, you know, typically much heavier than hookah tunes,
Uh-huh.
which is a lot of fun. And then we do a couple of my tunes and kind of make them a little heavier
Hell
also.
yeah.
But it's cool. It's very cool. A lot of fun.
Right on, man. Have you ever thought about doing any kind of solo projects at all?
Solo.
Just
Like
just
just
a
me?
Dave Katz album.
Well, I have one.
Do you?
Yeah,
Oh.
Autumn Day.
Oh, I'm
I'll have
such
to
an
give you-
asshole.
I'll give you a copy of it. You can listen to it on the way home.
I would love it. That would be awesome.
But I do have one.
I
It's
was-
from like the early 2000s. I forget
Sorry.
when it came out. That's okay. You have to listen to it. Tell me what you think.
I will.
Yeah, I mean, I'd do another one if somebody wanted to put me in the studio or something.
Right,
I'm
right.
not really a studio guy. I mean, I'd like to do it,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't. I don't have any plans. I have songs I could put on it.
Yeah.
But I also have this thing called Trial by Fire I just started doing with me and Sweeney. And
I saw that. And by the
Yeah.
way, the guy who originally took me to see you guys for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
that was the name of our band.
oh, really?
And we had a little back
Great
and forth.
name.
It's like, you son of a bitch. Those sons of bitches got us again.
That's a great name.
They got us again.
That's funny. That's funny.
Oh man, you stole her face. You stole her song. You sons of bitches. The song name.
Yeah.
You knew. So I know I said I was gonna rap, but just how what is your guys' like studio process? Like, are you guys like, we play it all together live, or you guys
No.
layer?
No, we layer.
God
yeah,
damn.
we usually go in and drop the drums and bass 1st,
Mhm.
and then everybody just comes in and lays on top of it.
So when you have those like bigger epic songs, like I don't know, like something recent, I guess Thumper, right? Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
That, like, you know, has parts and just totally a prog fucking song. You know, like something like that, that's completely mapped out for you guys.
Well, it's not mapped out. It's mapped out in the sense that we know how long each part's going to go.
Okay.
And that just comes from when we're laying down the bass and drums, everybody's playing.
Okay.
But only they're being recorded.
Ah.
So it's kind of a live version in a sense.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, okay, let's go to the next part now. And then everybody knows when you go back into over
Right.
your parts, you know how long everything's going to be.
Okay, that makes sense. And
Yeah.
then and is that sort of like been sort of your formula, or do you guys
Pretty
just
much.
Nice. So
Yeah.
you just go in, lay down bass, drums, play all together, so you have the feel and the format,
Right.
and then go back and knock it out.
Exactly.
Cool. And are you one hitter quitter? Like, are you the guy who can
Me?
just run through a solo?
Generally, no. It's happened. It's happened. I don't want to cut myself too short, but
No.
it has happened, but generally, no.
So when you're working on solo sections, then I mean, are you generally just improvising, or okay?
Yeah.
And then so are you?
Well, me personally.
Yeah.
I don't know if Steve maps out his stuff. I'm generally not in the studio when he's doing it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've learned to not like this. I kind of don't like the studio if I'm working with other people. If it's just me and my like brain and doing it all day, all night.
I'm with you 100%.
I'll never see my family ever again because I'll just be there.
Right.
As soon as I'm in front of other people, and then there's expectations, and you want me to do it again? What?
Right.
So it's okay. That's cool. Let's go. So will you like improv a solo to a point and then be like take it back and then like kind of go over it again? Like what's?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll play and be like, oh, I really like that, but I don't like this part in here, and they'll cut me in and cut me out.
Yeah.
Or I might just like start playing and be like, oh, that was shit. Let's just start over.
Do the whole thing again. Do you ever cut together solos?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right on. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
No, I wish I was the kind of player who could just like be perfect, but I'm not.
Well, I mean, like, yeah. Well, that's what's so great about Studio Magic. But I mean, here's the other thing, though. Like, you rip it live setting, so it's not like fucking you don't have this ability. It's just that when you're, I don't know.
There's more pressure in the studio.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, because you're looking for that like perfection kind of thing.
Right.
Live, it's like,
Yeah,
if
I'm gonna hit wrong
if
notes.
I fuck it up, I'm gonna hit it again. And then it's jazz,
Hit it
right? I mean,
right.
that's the whole idea.
Yeah, man. Yeah, do it twice, bitch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I think that's it. I think I got it all out of my system.
All right, man.
Oh, Dave, thank you so much. Like, this has truly been a treat and an honor, and fucking, like, I look forward to seeing what you guys do. Like you're saying, like, being a band for 30 years is not an easy feat, and it's not nothing. You know what I mean? It's definitely something to be proud of and to talk about.
Oh yeah.
So I
Hey,
appreciate it.
you talking to me about it.
Fuck,
Bring it to
dude.
the people, man.
Bring it to the people. So you'll be seeing this in the Hookah Heads.
Nice.
Do you control that, or is that just
No.
a group that was?
No, I have nothing to do with it.
Oh, okay. It's just,
No, I'm just in there.
Yeah, you just in there. I like that you're very active on there. It's awesome. All right, Dave. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a
Yeah.
second. Can we play a song?
Play anything you like.
Awesome. I'm gonna play Ambrosia because those fucking harmonies are tits.
Great.
So we're gonna listen to Ambrosia, and that's it. Thanks, Dave.
All right, man. Thank you.
Chains around my feet, made me young again. Well, let the sun and moon clear my mind with the stars above all aligned.
And that was Ekoostik Hookah with Ambrosia off the latest Halcyon. Thank you so much, Dave, for coming on the show and inviting me into your house and being very generous with your time. I very much appreciate it. I had a wonderful and I mean, it was nothing but a joy for me. I do want to sort of expound on what I was saying at the top of the show in regards to 2.0 getting back together as a full-time thing. And I sort of wanted to go over it because every time I talked about it with Ed or with Dave, I sort of brushed over it because I didn't know exactly why 2.0 doesn't need to be a permanent fixture anymore. And I think the reason is because I respect moments in time, and I feel like Hookah 2.0 was a very special moment in time. And if you were there, you were there. If you weren't, well, sorry, Charlie. That's how it was. And I'm sure there's people who are like, Mullins, there was a very special time. And it's same thing. If you were there, you were there. If not, that's that. It's also incredibly unfair for the new amalgamation of Ekoostik Hookah, or the latest, I should say, because those guys have been putting in their hours. They fucking have built their repertoire with the band. They've built their bonds, and to just throw all that away, I mean, shit, it's almost been 10 years since that lineup, since the latest lineup. So, I mean, shit, it takes almost 10 years for a band to really fall into a groove. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it really does take a while for a band to really lock in as a full working unit. I find it unnecessary. I find it necessary to rehash this, the old. And imagine if they did get back together and it all just sort of warps and falls apart again, and then we never get it. We never get to see 2.0 play. So I feel like the best thing that we could get out of 2.0, I mean, besides like maybe a new album music, I think that'd be fun. But I feel like the best thing we could get out of 2.0 would be like a small tour where by the end of it, they're going to be real tight, and they're going to be, like I feel like that would be the closest thing to like 2.0 getting back together that I feel like would be even close to, acceptable. Because I mean, it's not unacceptable for them to get back together. Now, this is all just speculative. This is all just me right now, okay? Dave wasn't, once the mics were off, Dave was like, let me tell you my plans on getting them back to, or I'll tell you why I don't want them ever to be back to 2.0 to be back together. It was none of that. This is all just me talking out of my own ass. So this is all my own opinion, and your opinion probably varies or differs, and that's fine. Whatever. I'm just saying that if you weren't there when it was happening, then that's it. That's it. You can get a glimpse of it with these 2.0 reunion shows. But the past is the past, and to rehash that and for it to possibly just fall apart again, and I like that we get to see these glimpses back into the past with these 2.0 reunion shows. I like that idea. I like that when I went and saw them at Hookahville 50, when they all came on the stage together and the crowd just went fucking bananas and the energy was there. Like, I loved that. I loved that feeling, that like, just that, like, I don't know, the family's back together and we're all back together again. It was like it touched on those days of glory back in the early 2000s that are just indescribable. And yeah, so that's why I think it's unnecessary, is because it was something special, and let's just leave it that, and let's not risk making it into something ugly. Whatever happened between those guys happened, and there's no taking that back. So the fact that we get them where they're at now with the 2.0 and with the new band is just, that's amazing. I think. I mean, it's amazing that the two bands still exist in the form they're in. So let's just be thankful and be happy in this moment for what we have. Okay. And that's that. That's it. And like, I know that's not a great explanation. You know what I mean? I know that's not really, but because it came up a couple times with Ed and Dave, where I was like, I just don't know why it's not necessary for 2.0 to become a full-time thing anymore. Because when I released the Ed thing, I did get a few emails, saying it's like, oh, it would be great if they would get back together and blah, blah, blah. And, again, I know that people are going to be listening to this like, fuck you, Mikey P. You can't tell me that the Ed McGee and Cliff Starbucks and fucking the Starcat amalgamation of a hookah is not the best. I'm not saying it's not the best. It wasn't the best of that. I'm just saying of that band, I should say. All I'm saying is that it's not necessary. I like what they're doing now. I like that there is an option to see 2.0 still, and I like that these guys are just tenacious fucking musicians who are just ready for battle and who are just constantly fighting the fight. So, I just nothing but respect and love for those guys and the band and 2.0 and the fans and the family and all the awesome experiences that people have surrounding this band and the new generation, like with the Works, what they're doing now with Chris. If you go back and listen to the Chris Hauser episode where we're talking about, there wouldn't be the Works, there wouldn't be a Workout, there wouldn't be a Subterranean, these new guys that are Dustin Smith and the Daydreamers, these regional guys around here that are doing cool things, who are putting on these festivals. There wouldn't be that without Ekoostik Hookah. There wouldn't be a Chris Hauser of the Works without a Steve Sweeney. You know what I mean? There wouldn't be a Johnny K of Boogie Matrix Mechanism without a Steve Sweeney, who was in the Ekoostik Hookah, who fucking inspired fucking generations, who even by Dave's words inspired other festivals to kind of take on that same formula that they sort of stumbled upon. I love that too. I just love that Hookahville was just sort of this genius idea that was stumbled upon. It wasn't, there wasn't just some guy sitting in a dimly lit room somewhere smoking a cigarette and drinking, wine, just like, well, how do I do this? How do I make this work? It was just these fucking hippies. We're just like, hey man, I got an idea. Let's see if we can get fucking Willie Nelson to play. Oh shit, he will play? Oh, we can afford that. Okay, cool. Let's have all these cool guys come, but we're gonna headline. No, we're headline. Willie Nelson is opening it for us. Yeah, that sounds good. It was just like the whole when you just sort of break it down the way you do, it just sounds like it was just like a stoner idea, just like, oh man, and then we'll be the headliners, right? Okay, this is getting ridiculous. I know I'm just talking to talk now. So go to ReinaMystique.com, ReinaMystique. We have some new music coming up on the horizon, so stay tuned for that. I'm excited and I'm pumped up. Go to and follow us on Instagram at Wespeakenglishgood and on Facebook at Wespeakenglishgood. I've been thinking about doing a contest to sort of build up my Facebook, because for as little of people who like my We Speak English Good page on Facebook, I get a lot of plays through Facebook. So I think I'm gonna sort of try to I don't know, breathe some life into that. I was thinking about doing a contest. I just got this, what is this? Electro Harmonics Qtron. It's a mini pedal. Not mini. It's not as mini as those little mini pedals are now, but it's like their small line. And it's okay. It's not a bad thing. But everybody likes free pedals. So I just was like, maybe I'll give away this pedal since I don't really care for it all that much. I got it through Walmart. It was like $60. I had some gift cards. I should have saved the money for something like food or clothes for my son or something, but whatever. I got a pedal that I'm probably not going to use, so I might give it away. I don't know. Stay tuned for all that. You might win a pedal. Who knows? Just follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Wespeakenglishgood. Leave a review on iTunes. It helps people find us. It helps with the algorithms and all that good shit. So reviews on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, wherever you get your podcast, any kind of review helps. Comments, you can write the show, reach out to us on Facebook or however. Write the show. I'll read it on there if you want. If you don't want me to read it on there, just say don't read this on there. I do respect boundaries most of the time. Okay, that's it for me, guys. What can I say? Dave fucking Katz, everybody. That was just an amazing experience, and just getting an email from Dave Katz saying that he liked your show and your interview with Ed McGee, like that was just an honor in itself. And if it would have just stopped there, if Dave hadn't offered to talk on mic, I mean, he was all about it. And, even if it was just Dave Katz being like, hey, Mike, listen to your podcast, thought it was good, that would have been good enough for me. Like, I would have been like, wow, that's fucking amazing. But the fact that he wanted to come on the show, he wanted to be, and the fact that he was so honest about things, and the fact that he was okay with just talking for as long as we needed to talk, like that's... This is honestly the pinnacle of my podcasting experience. I don't know how far this podcast is going to go. I don't know what's going to happen with it. I love doing it, and that's all I know. That's all that drives me is my love to do it. So I don't know if there's going to be other pinnacles of this, but at this moment in my life, this right here, talking to Dave Katz, is the pinnacle of my podcast, the pinnacle of the success of the podcast. So thank you, Dave, for that, for giving me that. And I don't know, like after this podcast, it just makes me want to just have fire ass guests. Like I just want to go out and talk to I don't know. Like I just want to talk to everybody now. So a lot of cool things happening coming up, so stay tuned. And we got, like I said before, this show curates some of the best musicians and music that I've come across. I love what we do here. I love that this is such an open and free platform, and it's been great. So again, thanks, Dave. Thank you, everybody who's been on this show. And be good to your fellow human beings. HJ's for everybody. I'll see you guys next week with Ashley Kelly of Picking Kelly. Bye.
Crash.